Megan, whenever you're ready. And Megan, she would be so proud.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to White House Field once again here on a beautiful Friday evening. And it's time for some more Cape Cod baseball here on a very special night at White House Field. It is Mrs. E night, and it's a day where everybody will stop and honor Mrs. E, who unfortunately passed away just a year ago. And Colin, you and I didn't really have the opportunity to get to meet her, obviously coming in here just during the 2019 summer, but you can just see from the way everybody has reacted to today and also just the way that everybody has talked about her over the course of the season, she really had a profound impact on this program and on this league as a whole.
Yeah, as you mentioned, not just here in Harwich. I mean, a lot of people in the YD Red Sox system had made a lot of connections with her over the several years. I believe it was over almost 50 years that she spent as a volunteer in the Cape League. And we have two seats right next to the press box, just to the left of us, that have been installed in honor of her. And they're always there, just as a reminder that she's always watching. And Mrs. E, of course, is one of the more renowned figures in the entire CCBL.
Of course, she worked for both the Cape Cod Baseball League, the YD Red Sox, and also the Harwich Mariners in multiple capacities, and she has been certainly missed here by this organization and by all organizations. But it's time for a baseball game here today, and of course, in her honor, playing against the YD Red Sox, waiting for this day to happen until later on in the season when YD could be present as well. So it'll be the Harwich Mariners hosting the YD Red Sox here on July 19th, and these are two teams that are playing now in second to last and second place in the division. It seems like they've kind of bounced around, but the East is finally starting to take shape here as the YD Red Sox come into today's game at 18-12-2, just one game behind the Chatham Anglers, and the Harwich Mariners come in at 15-7, a game and a half up on the Brewster Whitecaps. So a big game for both of these teams, and after the entire Cape League was washed out again yesterday, we're starting to wonder how things are going to be shaping out for some of these teams going forward. Keep in mind, there are teams like the Falmouth Commodores who have only played 28 games up to this point. They still have to get 12 games in over the next I believe, 10 days. So it's going to be an absolute nightmare to try to figure out scheduling. The Harwich game that was originally scheduled to be played yesterday against the Orleans Firebirds has been rescheduled, and it will not be here at White House Field. It will actually be on the road. So it'll be a doubleheader at Eldridge Park coming up later next week. But then, of course, today, Colin, the last day, other than tomorrow's game at Chatham, that will be played before the All-Star game, which is this Sunday. So a whole slew of scheduling messes that we have to sort out. But here, it's the Red Sox and the Mariners, and boy, Harwich kind of came up on a very sour note the last time these two met.
Yeah, they certainly did, but at least for the Mariners, they're coming in on a two-game winning streak, in large part due to that crazy game we had a couple of days ago in Brewster, where the final score was 12-11. The Mariners had led 11-0 before Brewster comes firing back, and then, of course, the game gets called due to a mix between lightning and darkness over at Stony Brook Field. But yep, the Mariners do have a two-game winning streak. YD just had a three-game winning streak cut down yesterday by Bourne. So let's see if the Mariners can take some momentum into this game and try to extend that 1.5 game lead over the Brewster Whitecaps.
A 1.5 game a 1.5 game lead, and also a 2-game winning streak. So Harwich looking to make it 3 here against a YD team that has done pretty well, relatively speaking, against the rest of the league and have struggled a little bit against the East, but they're a bit above 500 coming into this game. Let's take a look at the YD Red Sox lineup. It'll be Wyatt Young leading things off and playing short, Brad Beasley playing out there in center, Austin Wells hitting third and catching today, Noah Campbell is the second baseman, Jake Palmer the right fielder, Riley King playing at third. Your 7-hole hitter is Jack Thomas Wald, who hit the go-ahead home run against Harwich back in the 8th inning of the last meeting. Carson Taylor, your DH, and Ron Washington will play out in left field. And starting pitcher today for the YD Red Sox is going to be Eric Tolman, one of the better two-way players here in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and he's going to be very challenging here against a Harwich lineup that has really found its footing recently, but they're going to have their hands full today.
Yeah, they certainly will, and Tolman, of course, being a two-way player, so we've got a national anthem coming up, and then it'll be time for some more Harwich Mariners baseball. You're watching the Mariners on Mariners YouTube Network.
As we honor America with the
that, we welcome you back to the Harwich Mariners pregame show. It's Tyler Henry here alongside Colin Casey from White House Field. The Harwich Mariners set to do battle with the YD Red Sox. And taking a look at the starting pitcher on the mound for the YD Red Sox, it's Eric Tolman. We'll get into him later, but let's really quickly set the pitcher here for the starting pitcher today for the Harwich Mariners. It'll be Antonio Menendez, the sidearm wonder who seems to be aging like a fine wine this year. Every single start he goes out, and it seems like he pitches better than the last. And he has really done a better job once they moved him out of the bullpen and into a starting role where he's really been able to dominate guys this year, Colin.
And that's certainly reflected on his stats in the month of July. He's got a 1.46 ERA this month. That's about the time when he's made that switch from relief to starting. And as you mentioned, he's done a great job of shutting down hitters. His strikeout numbers have been up there as well. And most importantly, he's faced a lot of lefties, but he's actually done a pretty good job against left-handed hitters, just giving up 5 hits on the season. So for a righty, Antonio Menendez is a guy who pitches pretty well against lefties, but he's going to have his hands full against a YD Red Sox lineup with a ton of good hitting lefties, including guys like Austin Wells, Wyatt Young, and Noah Campbell.
And I had a chance to talk to Antonio about that, and he said he's gotten more and more comfortable facing left-handed hitting, and he's really struggled with that in the past, but it seems like he's kind of figured it out here during the course of the Cape League season. So Menendez is out there. Let's take a look once again at the lineup he will be facing. It'll be Wyatt Young, Brad Beasley, Austin Wells, Noah Campbell, Jake Palmer, Riley King, Jack Thomas Walt, Carson Taylor, and Ron Washington. The Harwich lineup looks like this. It'll be Daniel Cabrera, Chris Galland, Christian Fetko, Joey Weimer, Nico Cavadas, Dylan Noisy, Chris Lanzilli, Pat Winkle, and Hal Hughes. So we're just a few minutes away from getting started in this one, but should be a good matchup here as once again the Harwich Mariners come in 1-2 this year against the YD Sox, but YD narrowly getting that last victory thanks to a 3-run home run from Jack Thomas Walt. So here comes Wyatt Young to lead things off, and we're just about underway. Young, one of the hottest hitters here in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and I'll stand in to take his first at bat here against Harwich. First time that Antonio Menendez has faced the YD Red Sox at any point this season. See what the righty has in store here as Wyatt Young stands in from the right side, and the first pitch that he gets is going to be a slider that's going to be dug out at first. Charging to the bag and getting there, no, not in time, was Chris Lanzilli, who made a heck of a stop over there. A Gold Glove play at first, but he can't quite come up to the bag in time, and the speedy Wyatt Young is going to start things off with an infield single.
Yep, too much speed from the shortstop Young, and hit that ball a ton. A great play at first by Chris Lanzilli on playing that on a hop in the dirt. But again, he had to take some time to get up, and he was a little too far away from the bag from Young to reach base. A guy who's been hitting so well against righties this year, coming in at 385 against right-handed pitching.
So here comes Brad Beasley, and we'll see whether his success continues here as Menendez comes to the stretch for the first time, kicks and fires. First pitch is going to miss up for a ball, and let's really quickly remind you of Antonio Menendez's pitching repertoire. He's got a fastball and a curveball from the overhand arm slot, and then the 2 sidearm slots he'll throw a fastball and a slider from. So 3 different arm angles he can come at you from, and that's part of what's made him so effective this year. This will be taken out into deep right field, but tracking it down is Joey Weimer, and he'll glove it for out number 1.
They had to battle the sun a little bit on that one. Weimer kind of had his glove up from the start, but able to track that, and here comes a big test for Menendez. This inning going by pretty quickly with 2 batters already, 1 on base and 1 retired, but there's a guy who's had a lot of success against the Mariners this season, Austin Wells.
Yep, Wells is the team leader against the Harwich Mariners. He's gone 5 for 13 with a home run and 2 RBIs, and he'd love to make it a third home run or a third RBI here if he can, with a lot of speed on first and Wyatt Young. The defense will shift here. The only guy on the left side is Nico Cavadas, as a throw over to first is not in time. And let's set that defense as Chris Lanzilli will hold the runner on at first base. Christian Fetko, the second baseman, slides over towards the first base side, and then Hal Hughes, the shortstop, plays just off to the right of second base. Cavadas is your third baseman. He's the only man patrolling that other side of the field as the pitch is going to be just outside for ball 1. And then, of course, your outfield is Chris Galland in left, Dylan Noisy in center, and Joey Weimer out in right. Pat Winkle gets the start behind the dish, and with a 1-0 count, he'll set up here for the next pitch from Antonio Menendez. Menendez from the stretch. The 1-0 pitch is on its way, and that will also miss outside. Looks like he's trying to keep things off the plate here on the outer half and try to get somebody to chase here.
Yeah, not surprised there, especially with the shift being on. Even though there's a double play possibility, you still see Nico Cavadas playing well off that third base bag.
Quick throw over to first, and that one's not going to be in time either as Wyatt Young dives back in, and it'll be a game on the road against the Chatham Anglers tomorrow, and then on the road against the Cotuit Kettleers, and after that, it's going to be home and homes, and then a quick doubleheader with the Orleans Firebirds, all against the East, as the 2-0 is smacked up the middle. It's going to be a hit for Austin Wells. Runner is going to hold up at second base, so runners at first and second here, with one away for the cleanup hitter and Noah Campbell.
And Menendez once again going away with the fastball on Wells, but this time he was ready for it and just puts a great swing on it up the middle, and we'll see if Campbell can give the YD Red Sox an early lead. Remember, they took down the Mariners last time these two teams played at White House Field. It seemed like forever ago. It was a 3-1 victory.
The one thing with Antonio Menendez, it seems like he hasn't gotten a lot of run support this year during his games where he has come in and started, but he's been pitching excellent. It's the first time we've really seen him get into trouble early in a game. Here comes his first pitch, and that one's going to be taken in the gap. That's going to get down for another base hit. They'll hold the runner up. It's a good throw home, but boy, 3 singles here in the first inning, and the YD Red Sox have loaded the bases with one away for Jake Palmer.
Yeah, and these are the 3 guys you kind of expect to do some damage in this YD Red Sox lineup in Young, Wells, and Campbell. And another just good piece of opposite field hitting there by Campbell. He goes the other way with it, pounds it right past Hal Hughes, and bases are going to be loaded. Early threat for the YD Red Sox.
So the bases are loaded for Jake Palmer, who comes in here looking to expand on a pretty good season in 2019. He'll dig in from the right side. Here comes the pitch, and that one will miss outside. Again, keeping everything out there is Antonio Menendez. Jake Palmer out of UC Irvine hitting .286 on the season. No home runs for him this year, but he has driven in 2 runs. Surprisingly low number for a guy with an average as good as Palmer's. So he'll stand in. Menendez comes set, and the 1-0 pitch is on its way. That one's going to be fouled off, and the count will even up here at 1-1.
Just one plate appearance this year with the bases loaded for Jake Palmer, ended in a sacrifice fly. So he's looking to do some more damage and add to that 1 RBI so far with bases loaded.
That's one of his 2 RBIs all season long. See if he can find a way to bring a few across here. It's the ideal situation to jump on Harwich early. 1-1 pitch. That's going to be hit to the right. Beautiful stop by Hughes. Will go the short way for 1. Fetko back across for 2, and it's going to be in time. A 6-4-3 double play. Then Harwich pulls its boots from the fire at the last possible second. We will step away, and when we come back, the Harwich Mariners come up to bat in their half of the first. Still a 0-0 ball game here from White House Field on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. And welcome back to White House Field. What a play made by Hal Hughes, who had to come back across his body, backhand the ball, flip to Fetko, and then a good throw from Fetko to Chris Lanzilli at first to complete the double play. So it's a 0-0 ball game here for Harwich, and now they'll turn their efforts to facing off against Eric Tolman, who has been very good this season, a 4.15 ERA, 21 strikeouts to only 7 walks for him with a 1-1 record. And he actually had the best record, or the best ERA, I should say, at Arizona State last year with a 2.83 ERA. He struck out 49 guys in 41 innings, so an excellent 2019 for him, and he's looking to continue that here on the Cape. Harwich could very well have his hands full with Eric Tolman today.
Yeah, but one thing with Tolman is he really didn't look too good his last start on the road. Had an 8.31 ERA in that appearance, just going 4 1/3 innings, giving up 7 hits, and opponents were able to hit .368 on him on the road so far this season. So we'll see if Tolman can do a little bit better this time. The two-way player. I've seen him in a couple of pinch hitting situations against the Mariners this season, but it's his first crack on the mound against the M's.
So let's once again set the lineup here for the Harwich Mariners. Leading things off, the DH Daniel Cabrera. Then hitting second will be the left fielder Chris Gallant, who's been tearing the cover off the ball over the last 10 days. Christian Fetko will play second and hit third. Joey Weimer playing out in right will hit in the cleanup spot. Nico Cavadas, for the first time in, I believe, the entire season, will hit fifth. He plays third base today. Dylan Noisy, your center fielder, Chris Lanzilli at first, Pat Winkle, your catcher, and Hal Hughes is the shortstop today. So Tolman will be heading onto the mound here the first time he has faced off against the Harwich Mariners this season. And both of these starters, their first time facing the other team, so we'll see whether or not Eric Tolman can find a way to get out ahead of Harwich here early. But this is a very tall task to start off here. Daniel Cabrera, Chris Galland, Fedko, Weimer, Cavadas. That seems to be the murderer's row for Harwich this year as the first pitch is on its way, and that'll miss high and inside to Daniel Cabrera. Cabrera's been hitting better and better as every single game goes on. The 1-0, and that'll be swung on and missed. And Colin, I really like him being used here in the leadoff spot. He's got a lot of good numbers when it comes to stolen bases and speed, but more importantly, he just finds his way on base.
Yeah, he certainly does, and ever since he's been in the leadoff spot, it's been an interesting dynamic as he fouls off the 1-1. It seems like he's a guy who scores a lot, even when he was in that 3-hole, so it made sense for Coach Engler to move him up to that leadoff spot.
He scored 9 runs over the last 10 days for Harwich. It seems like when he finds his way on, Harwich finds a way to bring him across as he will send this one foul and out of play. So the count stays 1-2 here on Daniel Cabrera. Again, he has scored 7 runs in the last 10 games for Harwich. He's also hit .289 in that span. The 1-2 pitch, that'll be swung on and chopped foul back into the YD dugout. And this is really the first time we've seen him separated from Nico Cavadas in the order too, as those two have kind of been hitting side by side, and it's just been a question of who hits before and after, as Gallen's gotten plenty of leadoff looks, and Christian Fetko's gotten some time in the cleanup spot as another 1-2 will miss high, and even the count here at 2-2.
And Cabrera, interestingly enough, actually has a higher average against left-handed pitching, .313 on the year with 7 RBI. So this is a guy who hits lefties pretty well.
And he'll take this one right at the second baseman. It's picked up by Campbell, who will throw on to first for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up Chris Galland, who has just been lighting it up left and right over the last 10 days, and even better over the last 5.
Yeah, him and Joey Weimer have really been the difference makers in this lineup for the Harwich Mariners, combining for a 12 of 22 clip with 12 RBIs, 4 runs scored, and 3 stolen bases between the two.
First pitch to Galland is going to be in there for strike one. Chris Galland, over the last 10 games, is hitting .395. Over his last 5 games, he's got 6 RBIs. He's hitting .545. So he has just been killing it this year. This will miss low and inside, and he's done a lot better against right-handed pitching than he has against lefties, hitting .341 against righties versus .179 against southpaws. Here is the 1-1 from the southpaw and Tolman, and Galland will swing through that one for strike 2. The count is here 1-2.
Good looking off-speed pitch from Tolman, and he's another one of those guys that works really quickly on the mound.
Tolman right back to it. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Galland, broken bat up the middle. It's going to be close. A lot of speed for Galland, and it's going to be misplayed there by Young. They'll rule it a base hit. I think if Young had picked that up, it still probably would have been safe for Galland. So he is going to be the beneficiary of a broken bat infield single, and Harwich has their 2-hole hitter aboard here with 1 away to start their inning.
Yeah, even with how good Wyatt Young is defensively, I don't think he's making that play because Galland's got too much speed coming down the line. Tolman, I think, flinched a little bit. He might have had an opportunity to play that ball, but with that broken bat, you kind of have one eye on the ball, one eye on the bat, and ball gets past him. Wyatt Young charges it, unable to make the play, so a 1-out single brings the heart of the lineup up for Harwich.
And I'll tell you what, if Chris Galland's bat doesn't go flying towards the pitcher, I think he probably gets a glove on that ball too, as you just alluded to. So here comes Fedko. First pitch is going to be an off-speed, looked like a breaking ball, and that'll miss low and inside for ball 1.
Fedko, the best in the lineup against left-handed pitching this season for Harwich. Hitting .375 against him.
He's done some of his best work against the YD Red Sox, hitting .333 as well, as this one, a fastball will miss low and inside, and the count here is 2-0.
His lone home run also coming against YD back here at White House Field.
Just narrowly tucked it over the .330 sign out in left field, and for as much power as Christian Fedko has, it seems like we haven't really seen a ton of it this season. He's just focused on getting on base. As a throw over will check Chris Galland back. And speaking of Chris Galland, you wonder whether or not we might see him swipe another bag here. The team leader in stolen bases, continuing to produce in that metric.
That one home run also from Fedko came off arguably the best pitcher in the entire Cape League talent-wise in Jack Leftwich.
2-0, Fedko's way in front of that one. Yeah, Jack Leftwich was boasting a really impressive season coming into that game. And seems like, I mean, that's the other thing with the Cape League. I know I've said this before, but I mean, you're facing a Friday or a Saturday starter every single day. The relievers are all guys who the season before typically put up ERAs under 3, and in the lineup, you're going to be facing guys who hit 1 through 4 on their college teams, 1 through 9. So, yeah, certainly no blind spot in the Cape talent-wise. So to be on top of that list is even more impressive. Fedko with the 2-1 count will dig back in from the left side. Here comes the pitch, and he'll take that one up the right side. It's got a chance to get through, but it won't. Wyatt Young will throw on to first for the second out. So Gallen moves up into scoring position, but with 2 away, here comes Joey Weimer, who has been undoubtedly the best guy to hit against the YD Red Sox this year with a 500 batting average.
Yeah, he really likes playing
Number 16.
YD Sox this year. 4 RBIs, too. All of them actually coming in the same game. He had that monster game, driving in all 4 of the Mariners' runs in a 5-4 loss. So see if you can kind of channel what he did just under a week ago.
Weimer will stand in, the most aggressive swing in the entirety of the Cape League, and the first pitch he sees will miss low and inside. He's got one of the more, we'll call it an interesting batting stance. We've talked about it a little bit too. He's all the way crouched up to the front of the box in terms of towards home plate, the back of the box all the way towards the catcher, and then holding the bat well above his head, and then a giant leg kick right before he comes down and just swings the bat really hard as here he'll turn into one and narrowly avoid it hitting him. Counts 2-0.
We were also a big fan of playing here at White House Field, hitting .405 at home this season. His lone home run coming at White House, along with 6 RBIs.
Part of the reason he started the season off on a 10-game home hitting streak. That was broken, but he hasn't seemed to slow down a whole lot since then. As the 2-0 is on its way, he'll foul this one back, and he's been producing RBI after RBI as well over the last 10 games or so. Just tearing it up. Him and Chris Gallen, 2 guys that started hot and then kind of cooled off a little bit, but for Joey Weimer, he's just picked it right up where he left off. Since taking the 2 days off last week, he's hitting .545 with 6 RBIs. Here comes the 2-1 from Tolman. That'll miss high and inside, and the count is 3-1 here on Joey Weimer.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to load the bases for Nico Cavadas, even with 2 away. We've seen him hit a couple of home runs with 2 outs this season.
Certainly has. Harwich still has not had a grand slam yet, and this one will be, wow, called strike 2. Weimer turns around and checks with Rick Emerson. Looked a little bit off the plate, but the count is full here. Rick Emerson is your home plate umpire today. Vicente Medina over there at first base, and Mike Ribideau at home. And here comes a mound visit from Austin Wells, who wants to talk to Tolman here about this next pitch, and it could be a crucial one against Joey Weimer.
Yeah, and it seems like all the splits are lining up in Weimer's favor. I mean, he hits well against YD, hits well at home, and he also is hitting .500 with 8 RBIs with runners in scoring position with 2 away. So it seems like it is the ideal scenario for Weimer, but he's got a full count. He'll have the runners going, so a ball in the gap could play 2. Or actually just 1 with 1 runner on.
So we'll see what Weimer can do as Tolman steps off the hill once again. He's taking a lot of time to think about this next pitch, and even something that gets hit to one of the outfielders, if it's the center or right, we'll probably see Gallen with a head start turn and head for home. Here comes the payoff pitch. Weimer will send that one high in the air and foul, and we'll have to do it again here. Of course, I talked about the 2-way ability of Eric Tolman and what he's been able to do with a bat in his hand. He's been used a number of times this year, and why not? He's hitting .364 on the YD Red Sox this season, and that includes 4 RBIs, a home run for him, and he has more walks than strikeouts, so he knows how pitchers think. But here he's going to have to focus on retiring Weimer as the payoff is sent to him and fouled away once again. His senior year of high school, he had a 1.89 ERA and hit .364.
Yeah, I mean, that's just all sorts of impressive, and you might think, oh, it's just high school stats, but I mean, that's those are some really good numbers when you're sustaining it over 20 games or so. I mean, it's definitely not easy to kind of come out and repeat that week after week, all while worrying, trying to get into college at the same time.
It's all stance for Weimer. Here comes the payoff again, and this time he will, well, once again, he'll jam him and he'll foul it away. And fun fact for you, Colin, Weimer during that game, or sorry, not Weimer, I should say Eric Tolman, got his first RBI of the season, actually of his entire career at Arizona State, against Xavier. And if he had waited 2 more batters, he would have hit it off of Nick Swalk, who's now playing here on the Harwich Mariners. Tolman sets the 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Joey Weimer down on strikes, and that will do it for the inning. Harwich able to get a runner in scoring position, but can't capitalize. We go to the second after this. Harwich Mariners 0, YD Red Sox 0 on the Harwich YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go to the second inning of play, and due up for the YD Red Sox, it'll be Riley King, Jack Thomas Wald, and Carson Taylor. So a tough task coming up here for Harwich, as once again, this is a YD lineup that has been very good all season long. Their pitching has been a little suspect here and there, but the hitting has been consistent all season long, and Colin, they're hoping it can propel them to another victory here today.
Yeah, definitely basing off of hitting, given how much the pitching has struggled over the last couple of weeks, ever since the start of the new month. I think their ERA is somewhere over 6 as a pitching staff, so definitely not getting the job done on the mound, but it hasn't really made too much of a difference. And on the season, it's a 4.71 ERA. I'm sure it was a lot lower before then, but you know, a lot of changes, maybe injuries, transfers, whatever it might be, guys getting released has caused their pitching to kind of struggle. Could be fatigue as well, might be a big factor.
Certainly could. A lot of pitching staffs kind of get in trouble this time of year. You got a lot of guys that typically are on innings limits and whatnot, as the first pitch will be blowing inside here to Riley King. And that's the other thing that Harwich might be blessed with. Not sure that we're going to be losing a whole lot of players as a pitching staff at least, so stay tuned for updates on that, as the 1-0 is going to be taken right at the shortstop. Hal Hughes will glove it and fire to first in time for out number 1. And once again, I catch myself doing this, but when it goes hit to Hal Hughes, you know, I'm calling it prematurely before it even happens. He's going to make the play. He has been just something else out there at shortstop.
Yep, just the one error on the season coming against Wareham on the road about a week ago, and it seems like every time the ball's hit his way, as you mentioned, it's an out. And even when we don't expect him to make outs, we saw him turn that double play to end the first inning. I mean, most guys in this league aren't going to be able to make that turn.
So here comes Jack Thomas Wold, who is living in infamy here at Harwich. He'll foul the first pitch away. He's hitting .247 on the year. He has hit just 3 homers this season, 16 RBIs, but one of those home runs and 3 of those RBIs came the last time these two teams met at Red Wilson Field, and it was off of a Joe Boyle fastball. As here, he'll take one to first. It'll be picked up by Lanzilli, who will flip to Menendez in time for out number 2.
Yeah, as far as Wald goes, he does have that 3-run home run, but that's the only success he's had all season long. He was 0 for 3 against Harwich coming into that at bat, and that time he didn't get quite all the barrel on that pitch, and it was an easy ground out. So good start to the second for Antonio Menendez.
And here comes Carson Taylor, the DH. Yeah, Menendez, it seems like, has really settled in here in the second inning so far, and he'll look to get one more and make it a 1-2-3 inning against the YD Red Sox. Standing in is Carson Taylor. He'll watch this one miss inside for ball 1, and really the first time I think we've seen Menendez put something on the right side of the plate. So a 1-0 count here on the DH. Taylor, a guy who hasn't had a lot of experience against Harwich, and he'll watch this one miss low and inside for ball 1.
Yeah, actually, this is his first at-bat against the Mariners this season, as it will be for the guy on deck, Ron Washington.
One of his first at-bats of the year, as this will be just the second game he's played in this season, as he'll watch this in for a strike. He is still looking for his first hit, but he's only had 1 at-bat, so this is actually his second at-bat of the Cape League season. Interesting to see a guy out of Virginia Tech come to the Cape this late. Here he'll take one up the short. Hal Hughes will pick it up and throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. So we go to the home half of the second, a 3-up, 3-down inning for YD. When we come back, Harwich looks to strike first here on the Harwich YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey here as we go to the home half of the second. And leading things off will be Nico Cavadas, who is having one heck of a month here. It is just July 19th. Keep in mind we've had 1 day, or 2 days actually, where there were no games played. But Through 17 days, he's hitting .288 with 7 home runs, 18 RBIs, and an OPS of 1.153. Not a bad way to start off the hottest month of the year, Colin.
Yeah, not at all. He's just been an absolute force in that middle of the lineup. We've seen him go from 3rd to 4th, and now he's in the 5th spot with Fedko and Weimer in front of him. So the lefty on the mound, he's not exactly as strong against lefties as he's against righties. Still looking for his first homer against left-handed pitching.
He'll be looking to lead things off, and the other interesting number is he takes this up and in for ball 1. He's come across to score a lot of runs, and the home runs definitely help with that, but it seems like he's been setting the table as often as he's been cleaning it up, as the 1-0 pitch will be swung on and taken high in the air out to straightaway center field. Plenty of time for Beasley to step back, and kind of lost it there for a moment, but he'll make the catch for out number 1.
That ball hit all the way up into the clouds, and I can see why Beasley kind of struggled with that one. The sun directly over his head, looking straight up into it, but he's able to go backpedal, and make the catch for out number 1.
I will say it is a perfect day here for baseball. Weather conditions are basically ideal, and thank goodness after another rain out yesterday, it's been clear skies and sun here so far, so I'm sure we'll get rained out by the 4th inning if the Cape League is to do exactly what it's done all year. First pitch to Dylan Noisy is still pending here. It was actually in there for strike 1. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. That'll be in there for strike 2, and Noisy has fallen behind here early. So he's going to have to be awfully protective of the plate here with an 0-2 count. We've seen what he can do on the base pass, and it seems like he has been pretty excellent when he's gotten on base. It's just been getting there that has been the problem for Noisy this year, as the 0-2 is swung on and fouled away.
Tolman not hesitating to attack these Mariner hitters. Every ball he's thrown seems to be a calculated one. He's really been in control of the strike zone through the 1st inning and a 3rd.
Here comes Tolman's 0-2 pitch on the way, and that'll be fouled off as well. And Colin, one reassuring stat that I think you and I have both noticed, the on-base percentage, and granted the Brewster game certainly helped boost this, but the team's on-base percentage above 300 for the first time this year at about 301. So that's certainly reassuring for a team that at one point had an on-base percentage of 268, as Noisy fouls this away. Count here stays 0-2. And again, it seems like Harwich's bats have been heating up here at the right moment. This could be a very scary team come playoff time if they can keep the offensive production up the way it's been the last couple of days. Here comes Tolman's 0-2 once again, and this one's going to miss inside. The first ball of the at-bat here on the 5th pitch.
Noisy back in his natural position of center field. We've seen him play shortstop over the last week or two.
Swing and a miss at the 1-2, strike 3. That'll be strikeout number 2 on the day here for Eric Tolman. And that'll bring up Chris Lanzilli, who will look to continue what he's been doing the best the last couple of days. He's driven in several runs. Unfortunately for him, the one home run that he had was taken away in that game against Katuitt. He'll have a chance to get that one back, though, as Harwich will go to Katuitt this Saturday, or actually this Monday. So the day after the All-Star game, it'll be another makeup at Katuitt. Of course, Harwich in that one, as this will be taken to the 3rd base side. Riley King picks it up and throws across for out number 3. But really quickly, that game will be played in place of the one where Harwich was up 12-0 and had it rained out in the 3rd. So here we'll go to the 3rd inning in our own game as the YD Red Sox taking on the Harwich Mariners, not up at 0 here on the Harwich YouTube Network. Back to baseball here at White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey bringing you a good one as we go to the 3rd inning. Still a pitcher's duel, 0-0, and it'll be Ron Washington, Wyatt Young, and Brad Beasley due up here for the YD Red Sox. And the guy down there in the 9-hole has a bit of an interesting story, Colin, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. It's going to be Ron Washington Jr. leading things off, and if I'm not mistaken, he is the the son of former Texas Rangers manager Ron Washington. So another guy in the Cape League who has just an amazing baseball pedigree. He's been growing up around a guy who's been in the league for forever. I mean, Ron Washington made his debut as a player back in 1970, and since then has been a part of baseball, including a couple of very successful Texas Ranger teams that went to back-to-back World Series.
Well, here he comes, and he'll be making his debut on the Cape League season, so he has not done anything yet. And hitting in the 9-hole here for YD, he could be one of those late arrivals that kind of turns the tide for the Red Sox, as the first pitch to him is going to miss inside, and that seems to be something that YD does year in and year out. We've heard this from different media teams. We've heard this from different coaches. Scott Pickler, it seems like, wherever it is, has a box of players stashed away somewhere that he brings out late in the season and into the playoffs, and it's part of the reason why he's been so successful. As this pitch misses for ball 2, they can bring in fresh arms and fresh bats as well, and boy, it seems to work for him, but you wonder where he's getting these guys from. As Menendez is 2-0, is going to miss, well, actually it's going to catch the edge, low and inside for strike 1.
Middle infielders playing relatively deep on Washington.
The 2-1 pitch, that's going to be in there to even the count at 2-2. Pretty good crowd on hand here at White House Field, as the highest attended game of the year for the Harwich Mariners, I believe, came against the YD Red Sox earlier this season, other than maybe First Responders Night. Menendez, the 2-2. That'll miss low and in, and the count is going to be worked full here by Ron Washington. Washington looking to start things off here and get back to the top of the lineup. 3 of the 4 guys at the top of that reached on singles, but a good 6-4-3 double play ended the inning, and Harwich was able to get out unscathed. Here comes the payoff pitch. That'll be ripped into the gap in left field, actually just in front of center fielder Dylan Noisy, who will pick it up. And once again, here, Colin, the leadoff man is aboard for the YD Red Sox.
Yeah, and when you have a lineup like the Red Sox, it is just an added bonus when you get production out of the bottom of the order. With Washington picking up the single, now you've got an on-base machine and Wyatt Young to plate, followed by Brad Beasley, a guy who's hit Harwich very well, and then the 3 and 4 of Austin Wells and Noah Campbell. I mean, it's really hard to pitch to pretty much everybody in this YD lineup. Yeah,
this is an absolutely brutal lineup, 1 through 9 to get through here. It's part of the reason why, despite lackluster pitching, they've been able to sit in second place in the Cape League's Premier Division. So here is Wyatt Young, who reached on an infield single his first time up. Corners are playing in here, maybe expecting a bunt. At least Cavadas is playing in. Lanzilli still holding the runner on at first, and then of course the middle infielders are back at double play depth. So the 0-1 count, a quick pickoff move by Menendez is going to be nothing doing there.
With the de facto day off yesterday with no games being played, that gave both teams' bullpens an extra day off, so sure there'll be a lot of guys available to pitch if need be today.
That's certainly helpful for a Harwich squad that's been very, very thin in their bullpens. Menendez's 0-1 will miss to even the count here at 1-1.
And the good thing, though, with Harwich is they've gotten such great starts out of their starting pitchers that they've been okay with having only a couple of guys available each day, and it's worked, relatively speaking.
Not sure what that was. It's going to skip back into the bullpen. It's going to be a chance for Washington to take third. He's on his horse, and he is going to get there. There won't even be a throw. Ron Washington just went first to third on the weirdest pickoff move I've ever seen in my life from Antonio Menendez. It'll be an error on him, and what was that? He tossed it over. It was a weird play, all things considered, but he tossed that ball. It bounced off the dirt and somehow got over the head of Lanzilli, who kind of got caught up with Washington at first, and then nobody hustling over, and Washington takes third.
And Menendez pretty much threw a changeup over on that pickoff. It's almost like he tried holding up the last second, and with the ball, with Washington diving back, it was a tough time for Lanzilli to find the ball, and then Mariners taking way too long to get to the ball after the fact.
So the infielders come in. The potential go-ahead run here in the third inning is just 90 feet away with nobody out here for the YD Red Sox, and Harwich finds themselves in a world of trouble again here. Menendez is going to have to pitch out of some trouble.
Young just needs a fly ball here to bring home that first run of the ball game.
2-2 count. Waiting on deck is Brad Beasley. Wyatt Young standing in, and here comes the pitch. That's going to be skipped in the dirt. Good block there by Pat Winkle, and that's the other thing you can't afford right now. You can't have one get by the catcher and score the run that way. So the count is full here on Wyatt Young. Young's been able to reach base pretty much at will this season for the YD Red Sox. This year, an on-base percentage of .439. The payoff pitch, and that's going to be slapped foul down the left field line, and that'll sink out beyond the fence.
Antonio Menendez has actually been really strong this season with runners in scoring position. Opponents just hitting 182 off of him this year with just the lone 2 hits, so maybe you can get a quick out in Young. Maybe a strikeout could change the narrative of the inning.
I'm worried you've learned nothing about the broadcaster's curse this year as Menendez comes set, the 3-2. That'll be fouled away, so you're safe for now.
Yep.
Anytime we bring up a specific stat like that, I swear something happens. Typically it's home runs. That's been the most consistent this year, but we'll see. Still a full count on the leadoff man for the YD Red Sox, Wyatt Young, standing in from the right side, runner 90 feet away, and the payoff pitch. And that'll be taken into left. There it is. Washington will come across to score, and the first run of the day belongs to the Red Sox.
Yep, good piece of opposite field hitting by Wyatt Young, and he's just 5'7". One of the guys he kind of reminds me of was the 2006 World Series MVP David Eckstein. Of course, Eckstein a right-handed hitter, but just a small guy who does a good job of getting the bat on the ball, not hitting it all that hard, but finding the gap, and it's exactly what Wyatt Young does, and he gives his team an early 1-0 lead.
So here comes Brad Beasley for a second time today. He flied out his first time up, the only guy in the top 4 of the order that didn't reach base the first time through. First righty in the lineup today for the Red Sox. And for the second time today, he'll face off Antonio Menendez. Here comes the pitch, checks his swing, and that one will miss in the dirt for ball 1. Plenty of other games going on right now in the Cape Cod Baseball League, as it's going to be doubleheader season from here on in. Everybody's going to be playing just a slew of baseball games. For Harwich, they will have the doubleheader against Orleans as the 1-0 pitch is swung on and taken to third, picked up by Cavadas to Fedko for 1, back to Lanzilli, not in time. And it'll eliminate the lead runner here and get the first out of the inning.
Yeah, nice play by Cavadas over at third. That ball hit pretty hard off of Beasley's bat. Took a little bit of time getting it ball out of his glove, and that probably made the difference. But again, Beasley with a lot of speed over at first, able to beat it out. And now with 1 away, it's the dangerous part of the lineup is Austin Wells will lead things, or will bat with 1 on and 1 away.
So Austin Wells stands in here. Fresh count for him. Menendez with a runner on first. Here comes the pitch. That'll miss blown outside for ball 1.
Wells back in 2018, drafted out of high school, 35th round by the New York Yankees. One of the best two-way catchers in the entire Cape League, if not the best.
Quick pickoff move again over to first. Nothing doing there. Really quickly, let's give you that update around the league as a lot of other games going on right now. The Falmouth Commodores lead the Wareham Gatemen 3-1 in game 1 of their doubleheader. The Chatham A's are down to the Brewster Whitecaps 2-0. That game is still early, just the bottom of the 4th. As this one is raked into left field, Galland will come back and make the catch for out number 2. And then, of course, the game going on right now, there will be one getting started shortly between Katuitt and Hyannis. Bourne visits Orleans, and then Falmouth will play Wareham in the second half of the doubleheader after that.
Number 14, the second baseman, Noah Campbell.
So here comes Noah Campbell.
Campbell, one of the top prospects in this upcoming draft in 2020, ranked number 10 by D1Baseball.com.
We'll take a first pitch curveball for strike 1 from Antonio Menendez. So one of the highest touted prospects looking to keep this second or third inning alive here for YD. As they've jumped out and picked up a run here against the Harwich Mariners. Harwich has not come back in a game when they were down by more than 2. So far only down by 1 and looking to keep it that way as another pickoff move for Menendez. He's been going to that quite a bit today, despite facing a YD team that on the season they do have 40 stolen bases, so plenty of speed for them this year, but a lot of caution being shown here by Menendez. Here comes the 0-1, and that'll be fouled off the foot of Noah Campbell. Count stays 0-2 here.
Campbell hitting .289 this season, 3 homers, 17 RBIs, and an OBP above 400. And the way he looks in the field, also being a switch hitting second baseman, really has a lot of comparisons drawn to Cleveland Indians second baseman Francisco Lindor.
The 0-2 count. Menendez sets and delivers, coming from the almost submarine arm angle, and he'll miss that one low and outside for ball one. Falmouth has now jumped out to a 5-1 lead over Wareham, and the biggest number for Falmouth right now is not on the scoreboard, nor is it in the record book. The biggest number for Falmouth is 28, and that's how many games they've played in so far this year. They'll be up above 30 as the runner takes off. It's going to be hit, and an awesome dive, but nothing doing there for Lanzilli. If anything, he may have hurt it as he kind of stops it with his glove. It rolls into right field, and it'll be picked up by Weimer. So the inning continues here. It'll be a hit for Noah Campbell. And runners are at the corners here for Jake Palmer, who will look for some redemption after grounding into a double play back in the first.
Yeah, already 6 hits for the YD Red Sox. They've just kind of been all over Menendez with the bat, but all of them being singles, so it hasn't hurt Menendez too much. The one run being unearned due to the error. And with 2 away and Jake Palmer at the plate, we'll see if he can get out of the inning.
Could be one of those days. The Whitecaps currently leading, and Harwich currently trailing 1-0. If both of those scores hold, it'll be just a half game back for the Whitecaps to chase Harwich back into a playoff spot. Squaring around a bunt, laying one beautifully down the line, and they will be smart to let it roll and go out of play there. But boy, what a bunt by Jake Palmer.
Yeah, it caught everybody by surprise, especially in that Mariners infield, and Cavadas was able to charge it. He realized this ball was hooking towards the left, let it roll past the line, and probably a play that saved a run for the Mariners.
And that's something that you see Coach Pickler do an awful lot of this year. He takes a guy who's hitting .283 this season, and on the year has a couple of RBIs, and he'll have him lay down a bunt, so not afraid to play small ball to try to pick up another victory here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. So the count is 1-2 here on, actually I believe the count is 0-1 on Palmer. Pitch is on its way, that'll miss low and away. The count is 2-2.
Palmer just 1 of 7 against Harwich this season, including a strikeout.
Final correction, the count is 1-1. So Palmer stands in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Menendez looking to bounce back here. From the stretch, runners at the corners with 2 away here in the 3rd inning. A 1-0 lead for the YD Red Sox, and time will be called here by YD's Jake Palmer. It wants some time after Menendez took an awful lot of time of his own out there on the bump.
Campbell's got some pretty solid speed over at second base, 6 steals on the season, or over at first base, so we'll see if he heads to second.
Here comes the 1-1 pitch. That'll miss low and inside, and counts a 2-1 here. Harwich playing with some fire again. I mean, they had the bases loaded back in the 1st inning, and now runners at the corners with 2 away. Looking for that crucial 3rd out. Still just 2 2/3 through this one, but YD threatening again. Menendez comes set to the belt. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. That'll be in there for strike 2, and the count is even here at 2-2.
I believe both of Menendez's starts with the Mariners have gone at least 6 innings, so we'll see if he's able to eclipse that mark again. He's had to throw a lot of pitches, though, here in the 3rd, and threw quite a bit as well in the 1st.
So we'll see whether or not he can go deeper into the game, although as you mentioned earlier, Colin, the bullpen should be well rested after having the day off yesterday. And after only 1 pitcher coming in against the Brewster Whitecaps. The 2-2, that'll miss in the dirt, and the count is full here. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing for the Harwich Mariners. You run a 7-man rotation, and then you have 7 guys coming out of the bullpen. Still 2 open roster slots for the Harwich, but neither have been filled yet, as there were 3 open slots. Riley Tirada filled 1, coming in to replace Tyler Keenan. But aside from that, there are still a couple of holes left in the place of Evan Schauber and Caden O'Brien. Payoff pitch. That'll miss for ball 4. So once again, the bases are going to be loaded, and that will bring up Riley King, who was 0 for 1 today, but certainly a capable hitter to bring a few runs across here for the YD Red Sox.
Yeah, and here's another stat. I guess I'll throw it out there, even though it's probably going to come back to haunt the Harwich Mariners, and that is that Tony Menendez has yet to give up a hit with bases loaded this season.
I'm going to have to mute your mic, Colin. No, I'm just kidding.
Let me just double check that. Actually, he has given up 1 hit in 1 at bat. He hasn't given up a hit with runners in scoring position and 2 away.
Here's a ball chopped foul down the third baseline.
So one of those two is about to change one way or the other.
Well, I know which one I'd prefer, but we'll see which one it actually is. Menendez, again, he's looked a lot better as a starter than he has as a reliever. He came in and had a pretty shaky appearance early in the season. And, you know, with a lot of guys getting let go around him this year for the Harwich Mariners, it was a wonder that, you know, we were kind of shaking our heads going, they must know something about Antonio Menendez that we don't. And he's kind of shown what he can do here as the pitch is going to be hit high in the air. Winkle's going to chase this back to the screen, and he backs up and makes the catch to get out of another inning. You can see the relief on Menendez's face as he pats his catcher, says thank you so much, and that'll take us out of the inning. Once again, Whitey gets the bases loaded, but they can only score one, and when we come back, Harwich will try to get it back here on the Harwich YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go here to the home half of the third inning. And Colin, it feels like this game could be very, very far out of hand for the Harwich Mariners, but they've had some good defensive plays, and because of those two, they are currently sitting at just a one-run deficit here with Pat Winkle coming up.
Yeah, and as first pitch will almost come up and in and glance off of Winkle, but in large part, you got to give a lot of credit to Antonio Menendez fighting with the situation that he put himself in. I mean, bases loaded 2 away, he was able to get a crucial third out.
Check swing here will be a ball here as Pat Winkle, who had one of the better catches to end the inning, had to track that one all the way back to the backstop and then back up and make the catch. The 2-0 to him will be inside for ball 3, and Tolman's fallen well behind here to start this at bat.
And Winkle's hit significantly better against left-handed pitching this year at 267.
The 3-0. That'll be in there for strike one as Tolman threw him a fastball. So with the 3-1 count, see whether or not he can expand on that clip as the pitch is on its way, and he'll smack that one towards second base. It'll be picked up by Campbell, and he'll throw to first in time for out number 1.
Yeah, he made some solid contact on that one, but unfortunately for him, hit it right at Noah Campbell. It's kind of been the story for Pat Winkle this season. There's been a lot of scenarios where he's kind of made some solid contact, but unfortunately he's hit it right at a guy, especially on the right side of the infield. He's
had an insane amount of opportunities with runners in scoring position this season, but they're trying to lead the inning off, and here comes Hal Hughes, who, again, has been really kind of coming into his own here as a hitter. He'll foul the first pitch away and fall behind in the count 0-1.
Yeah, he actually, to your credit on Winkle, he's had 17 at-bats with runners in scoring position this season. He's driven in 7 runs, though, so he has taken advantage of it to that extent.
The 0-1 pitch, that'll be swung on and fouled away. I'd love to see what the numbers are on Pat Winkle when he doesn't have anybody on base at all. It seems like that's really where he struggled this season, but, you know, give him credit. I mean, he's come through when it's mattered, and that's really all you can ask out of the guy.
143 as a leadoff hitter in innings.
Fair enough. So with a 0-2 count, Hughes will dig back in, and it's weird for Pat Winkle because, again, he had one of the better seasons at UConn last year as the 0-2 to Hughes is a breaking ball that will miss low and inside for ball 1.
But a lot of it, though, you know, is adjusting. I mean, playing in the AAC for baseball is a lot different than playing on the Cape, and Winkle will have a lot more time to play some more summers of baseball.
1-2 taken back up the middle by Hal Hughes, and that'll give Harwich a much-needed base runner here with one away.
Yep.
And how about Hal Hughes swinging a big bat here the last week or so?
Yep, he had the 2-for-3 game with the RBI. He was actually at the plate when that 12-11 ball game against Brewster was called, so only 3 official at-bats, but 2-for-3 with an RBI, and he continues that success now. And wouldn't this be something if you get that kind of production out of the bottom of the order when your team's pushing for the playoffs? I mean, Hal Hughes and Daniel Cabrera as a 9-1 tandem out of LSU, it's been something that's really worked over the last couple of days.
Here's the leadoff pitch to the leadoff man, Daniel Cabrera, who is 0 for 1 today, but again, with Hal Hughes standing on base, plenty of speed on the base paths for Harwich. And again, for Hal Hughes, he might be hitting just 161 in the year, but over the last 5 games, he's hitting 240. So this one will be zipped in there, and that'll be called strike 2 here on Daniel Cabrera.
Tolman continues to attack hitters. Even when he fell behind on Pat Winkle, he just came back with back-to-back strikes and was able to retire him.
Tolman with the 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Daniel Cabrera goes down for a second time today, and that'll bring up Chris Gallant, who has the only other hit of the Harwich day. It was an infield single back in the first inning that was hit sharply at Noah Campbell.
We know how hot of a bat that Chris Gallant's been swinging lately, and at this point his job with 2 away is just to do what the Mariners have been doing as of late, and that is swing the bat well with 2 outs.
Gallant to watch this one low and inside, and this is similar to what we saw the first time he squared off against Eric Tolman. It was a longer at bat, a lot of pitches off the plate, and then chasing a few that he probably had no business swinging at before finally getting one down. Here he'll try to square and bunt, and he actually fouls that one off the foot of Austin Wells. Fortunately, he has the very thick catcher's gear.
Yeah, it's actually not the first time we've seen Wells take a foul tip off his foot against the Mariners this season. The last time these 2 teams played, he kind of got a glancing blow and took him a few minutes to walk that off, but he seems to be all right.
How about this call? On the YD Red Sox in 3 innings have had 8 different base runners, 6 hits, a walk, and a fielder's choice, and they've only scored 1 run.
Yeah, and a lot of credit goes to Menendez being able to pitch himself out of tough spots, which is something he's statistically done all season long.
And more impressively even than that, the second inning was a 1-2-3. They didn't get anybody on in that. So all of those numbers came in just 2 innings for the Red Sox. But here it's Harwich trying to get the run back. The 1-1 pitch is another off-speed delivery, and that'll miss inside for ball 2. Christian Fetko standing on deck. Joey Weimer in the hole right now. Hal Hughes is on first. And with a 2-1 count, Tolman delivers. That'll be in there for strike 2.
Just the 1 steal on the season for Hal Hughes, so not the most aggressive base runner out there, but we know he's got some speed. He certainly shows it off when he's in the field.
Of course, his nickname Louisiana Leather for his defensive abilities. Here's a good stop by Austin Wells. Ducking for cover there was Chris Gallant for a moment, as that one briefly got away from Wells, and no attempt to advance by Hal Hughes, which is probably for the best. He would have been caught by a mile. So it is a full count here on Chris Gallant, the hottest hitter in the Harwich lineup over the last couple of days, and he is going to rip one into left field, but unfortunately right at Ron Washington, who makes the catch for out number 3. We go to the 4th. Still a 1-0 game. Whitey's on top, and they'll try to add to that when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the 4th inning. And I want to remind you that today's game and broadcast are brought to you by Milton Cat. Milton Cat, the area or Cape and Islands area dealer, is proud to be a sponsor of today's game.
So we head to the top of the 4th inning. YD holds on to their 1-0 lead despite significantly out-hitting the Mariners. Have only been able to plate 1 run, that coming on an RBI single off the bat of Wyatt Young last inning, and it'll be the 7, 8, and 9 hitters due up for YD. Jack Thomas Wald leading things off, and so far, Tyler, the bat's just not really there for the Mariners early, but you got to give a lot of credit to both the defense and the pitching for the Mariners. Despite Menendez giving up 6 hits, it's only yielded 1 run so far.
Yeah, and I mean, it's part of the reason is that Whitey hasn't really been able to capitalize. They've stranded 5 runners on base in this game. So here comes Jack Thomas Wald, who's already proven he can change the outcome of a game with 1 swing of the bat. So far, just 0 for 1, but he'll be looking for his first hit of the day and second hit against Harwich this season.
And the first pitch to Wald is hit well out towards right center field. That's going to get into the gap. Weimer will have to chase it down up against the wall. Wald is into second standing. He's got a leadoff double.
So for the 3rd time in this game, the leadoff man is aboard here for the YD Red Sox. They've been able to score 1. They left the other stranded in Wyatt Young on 3rd base back in the 1st inning.
So Jack Thomas Wald now with 2 extra base hits in his last 3 at-bats against the Harwich Mariners. With him on to begin the 4th inning, Carson Taylor will look for his first hit with the YD Red Sox this season. It could be a very big one, a huge insurance run early.
Yeah, 2 guys basically making their starting debut, here for YD, and they're hitting 8 and 9 today.
First pitch, and it'll actually have to wait as Menendez looks off the runner. Carson Taylor out of Virginia Tech, one of several ACC guys on this YD Red Sox team. Including the guy on deck, Ron Washington. The first pitch from Menendez misses low and outside.
I want to really quickly go into a point on Antonio Menendez. He's kind of got a little chip on his shoulder about the way sidearm pitchers are perceived at all levels by scouts, coaches, and most importantly, opposing hitters. And he's really been on a mission this year to prove that sidearmers aren't just right-on-right specialists or left-on-left specialists. It's, one of those things that he's sought out to prove, and so far he's had a pretty good go of it here in the 2019 campaign.
1-0 is hit on the ground towards first. Lanzilli picks it up. He'll toss it to Menendez, who covers first and retires Carson Taylor for out number 1. Meanwhile, Jack Thomas Wald advances to 3rd, so Ron Washington, who's 1 for 1, looking to add to his day and maybe bring home Wald for run number 2.
Yep, it would be his first RBI of the season, and it would start him off with a 2 for 2 start to the season. So Washington hitting in a pretty big spot here. We'll see whether or not he can make something of it. Not a ton of speed for Jack Thomas Wald over there at 3rd base. So see how aggressive they get with sending him.
Washington's got a ton of muscle, 6'1", 225. So one of the stronger guys on the team. See if he can show off some of that power, but just a base hit would be enough to extend the YD lead. Menendez looks in, and his first offering is chopped foul. Washington out of Missouri City, Texas.
Building on a pretty impressive 2018 campaign where he hit 284 with a 2019 year, jumping that average up to 306 last year for the Pitt Panthers. Slugged 465 and pretty good in the field as well, just 1 error.
The 0-1 to him will miss below the knees, and be interesting to see if Menendez had any games against Ron Washington this season. Both guys coming out of the ACC, with Menendez pitching at Wake Forest. Infield playing halfway in, and the 1-1 is ripped foul hard towards the Mariners bullpen. The count now 1-2.
There were actually 3 of them. It was a series between Wake Forest and Pitt, and it looked like the Wake Forest Demon Deacons got the better of the Pitt Panthers. They got 2 of the 3 in that one.
ACC sometimes forgotten about when it comes to baseball. You think a lot about the Pac-12 and the SEC, but some really talented schools out on the Eastern Coast. The 1-2 misses outside. So YD looking to make it 3 wins on the season versus the Mariners in 4 games. Still 1 home and 1 away left on the season between these two teams. 2-2. And that one misses inside for ball 3.
Yeah, Harwich has more Eastern games than anybody else because, the one interesting thing with all these home and homes is they're the only team that gets to do that. Only one team can finish their year with 4 home and homes against the rest of the East because you only have 5 teams in the division. Somebody's got to go play interleague.
So the Mariners put themselves in control of their own destiny, and the 3-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3. So Menendez getting a big out with that insurance run on third. Washington is retired, and now Wyatt Young will look to add to his 2-for-2 day.
I was going to say, he'll have to face one of the toughest guys here in the lineup in order to get through this inning without giving up a run. But Wyatt Young so far, 2-for-2, an infield single and an RBI single back in the 3rd inning. Looking to pat onto that.
First strikeout of the game for Menendez took him all the way until the 4th inning. He was able to get that strikeout pitch working. We'll see if he can build on it. But again, Young, a guy who's hit really well this season against both righties and lefties, and the first pitch he sees is a breaking ball over for strike 1.
And really quickly, I don't think Antonio Menendez's 2019 stats are really indicative of what he can do because Wake Forest has to be one of the 5 worst college ballparks to pitch at as a starting pitch, as a pitcher in general. The wind is constantly blowing out to center field. You hit a pop-up high enough, it's going to carry its way all the way out. As squaring to bunt and pulling it back here is Wyatt Young. And in addition to that, the dimensions at that field are very small. It's not quite the Cracker Jack box, but I mean, to left field, there's not a lot of room down there. So it's one of those parks where if you're a guy like Chris Lanzilli or Mike Ludwig, it's a great park to play at. But if you're Antonio Menendez, it can really, really hurt your stats.
Menendez trying to work himself out of this jam. The 1-1 is chopped towards the right side. Lanzilli will glove it, but it is foul. Wyatt Young, now 4 of 10 on the season against Harwich with 2 RBIs. Is a little bit prone to strikeout, though. He's done so 3 times against the Mariners. Really, everyone in the top 4 of this YD lineup has had some form of success against the Mariners this year. Jack Thomas Wald, the runner at 3rd. He led things off with a double and advanced on a ground out by Taylor. Washington struck out a moment ago. The 1-2 is a breaking ball hit out towards left field. Chris Galland is over and he'll make the catch. That will retire the side. So once again, YD Red Sox get a runner in scoring position but can't bring him home. We're through 3.5 from White House Field. It is Red Sox 1, Mariners nothing. Listening to Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the 4th from White House Field, and Eric Tolman looking to continue his success against the Harwich Mariners this afternoon. But Tyler, his team offensively, despite giving him the lead for now, hasn't really gotten it done with runners in scoring position. They've stranded 5 guys in runners in scoring position, and we're just through 4 innings in terms of at-bats for YD.
Yeah, it's 5 of the 6 that they've stranded throughout this entire game. So it's been a bit of a weird day for the offense that has been producing everything but runs so far for the Red Sox, and now he's going to have to defend, just a 1-run lead, and it'll be the toughest part of the lineup to do it against. Christian Fedko, Joey Weimer, and Nico Cavadas due up here for the Harwich Mariners. So this is going to be a very, very interesting task. We'll see whether or not he's up to it, but for Eric Tolman, he was able to get this in part of the order, and really most of the Harwich guys to go down with an out throughout his first time through the order.
So here's Christian Fedko, whose lone home run this season came against the YD Red Sox. Fedko comes into this game with a .276 batting average, the 1 homer, 9 runs batted in. And the first pitch to the Yukon right-hander misses low for ball 1. Actually, that's going to catch the bottom of the strike zone for a strike.
And we'll see how aggressively Tolman wants to try to come out here and attack Fedko, who put a pretty good bat on the ball, but took it right at the second baseman, who's been awfully busy today, in Noah Campbell.
Tolman's 0-1. He goes back to that breaking ball, and it skips in the dirt.
And it's interesting because the first time he hit that ball to Campbell, it was actually where Campbell's not playing right now, as they've got a pretty heavy shift on Christian Fedko. He hit it to him at the standard spot, so interesting that they would move him over after seeing that, but a lot of space for Fedko if he could put one up the right side.
It's like head coach Scott Pickler's done his homework, as Fedko is a pretty significant pull hitter, and this one goes to the left side of the infield. Campbell, playing over by the second base bag, will make the play and throw on to first for out number 1.
So the shift works to his favor that time, and here comes Joey Weimer, who's been hitting it all over the place this season. Seems like really hitting the ball hard somewhere. Doesn't matter if it's to the right side, the left side. They will leave a bit of a brief shift on him here for now, as there's a lot of room up the right side again. But coming to the correct side of the bag for a second baseman is Noah Campbell. And they're going to leave a lot of room up the middle on the left side as well.
Weimer takes a big cut at the first pitch and comes up empty. He struck out with Chris Galland at second base and 2 away in the first inning. The 0-1, that one will miss low. Weimer, the Michigan native, going to school not too far away over in Ohio at Cincinnati. The 1-1 from Tolman is well outside.
And you got to think, you really wonder how much Joey Weimer is focusing on trying to put the ball in a specific spot. It seems like he kind of just smashes it as hard as he can and lets the ball kind of do the rest. So we've seen a number of balls chopped over the head of infielders or just smashed into the outfield somewhere.
There's a high chopper towards short, right on cue. Wyatt Young charging. The throw is in time for the out. Very close play at first, but Young able to charge it. Makes a strong throw across, and Weimer will trot back to the dugout 2 away.
Yeah, I don't know. That was awfully close. We'll take a look up here at our replay up in the booth and see whether or not that was, in fact, as decisive as it was over there at first base. But a really close play, and with 2 away, that'll bring up Nico Cavadas.
So Cavadas flew out to center in his first at-bat. League leader in home runs takes the first pitch low and outside for ball 1. Cavadas out of Granger, Indiana. Attends Notre Dame, not too far from his hometown.
I got to say, looking at this, Colin, I think Weimer beat that throw out there at first base. But either way, the out will stand, and it's going to be 2 outs here for Nico to try to lead things off.
Very close play, and that's kind of what it is with Weimer. He makes every ground ball a close play, and now it's a hitter's count for Cavadas. He's ahead 3-0.
And this has been consistent throughout the league all season long. Typically, the tie goes to the runner, but it feels like more and more, at least in the Cape Cod League this season, the tie has gone to the fielders. As this one is going to miss inside, and it's going to be a 4-pitch walk here to Nico Cavadas.
So Cavadas reaches base with 2 away. Dylan Noisy will try to redeem himself after striking out back in the second.
Quick update, the Whitecaps are up 5-1 over the Chatham Anglers through 6 innings, so Brewster is threatening to break a 4-game losing streak and try to start charging back at that last playoff spot in the East.
Noisy trying to break a 1 for 14 or 1 for 15 dry spell as he fouls off the pitch to the right out of play.
Just hasn't really been able to find the right pitch for himself, but also, again, he's been swinging really hard at a lot of these pitches. So we'll see whether or not he can straighten things out and find his way on base here.
1 run on 7 hits so far for YD. No runs on 2 hits for the Mariners, and the 0-1 is a breaking ball inside.
That's the one thing you can't do with a guy like Noisy, although he'd have Cavadas in front of him. But you don't want to put that kind of speed on base for free. Same rule goes for Max Marshak.
Look over at first. Now the 1-1 from Tolman's in the dirt, and Noisy goes after it, so he's behind 1 and 2. Noisy just the 1 RBI on the season. The outfielder slash middle infielder out of Texas Tech. Late addition along with Max Marshak. 1-2 is hit well out towards left field and deep. Going back at the wall, it's gone. A 2-run bomb off the bat of Dylan Noisy, and the Mariners retake the lead. It's now 2-1.
Well, I'll tell you what, Colin, when you swing for home runs and you connect on a high fastball like that, you're going to get a pretty good result. So, again, I mean, I still think he needs to maybe calm the swing down a bit, but, boy, he comes through. And how about a way to break a dry spell? He didn't just hit that one out. He hit that one back into the tree line.
One of the furthest home runs we've seen this season at
Number
White House
14,
Field as that
the
ball
first baseman
carried that
from
left
Wake
field fence
Forest,
easily as
Chris
Ron
Lanzilli.
Washington seemingly knew that ball was out the second he spotted it leaving the bat.
I mean, you could just hear it off the bat, too. As soon as you saw that thing go up, you knew that was heading out.
So now Chris Lanzilli falls behind 0-1. And Tolman looks to rebound as he catches Lanzilli out in front of that one as well. It's an 0-2 count.
And nothing really affected here in Tolman's tempo. Still working at a blistering pace out there, and not afraid to continue attacking the strike zone as well as he's out ahead of Lanzilli 0-2.
And Lanzilli able to stay alive and spray one off to the right, but Dylan Noisy is the first Harwich Mariner to homer in July other than Nico Cavadas, at least officially. Guy at the plate, Lanzilli, hit one out, to it, but that game was abandoned just before 4 innings played as the 0-2 misses in the dirt.
Harwich was fortunate to get 5 innings in during the Brewster game, as it was almost a similar situation, although Brewster at that point, having come back, may have really challenged him for it.
It's a swing and a miss, strike 3, the tag applied, and that will end the inning, but not before a 2-run bomb off the bat of Dylan Noisy, and that gives the Mariners their first lead of the contest. They lead it 2-1. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network.
For more information, please visit capecodhealth.org.
Welcome back to White House Field. The Mariners now with a 2-1 lead after struggling a bit earlier offensively, but Tyler, then came the biggest hit of the season for Dylan Noisy.
Yeah, and only the 6th hit of the season for Dylan Noisy, but he made it a loud one as he just completely crushed that ball out into the tree line in left field. And that's all it takes sometimes. Harwich finds their way back on top of the YD Red Sox here, and this is getting a little bit similar to what we saw the last time these two teams met, as I believe it was YD who took a 1-0 lead. Harwich came back and was able to rebound and go up on top, but then it was YD having the last laugh, courtesy of that Jack Thomas Wald home run.
So Antonio Menendez now pitching with a lead will go through arguably the toughest part of this YD lineup, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters who have combined to reach base 4 times already in this one. Brad Beasley will lead things off, and he takes first pitch that misses the inside corner, ball 1.
And yeah, it was YD scoring a first run in the first inning, and then Harwich scored 2 back in the third to take the exact lead we have here, a 2-1 lead.
And the 1-0 will miss also to make it 2-0.
Harwich then added a couple of insurance runs, one in the 5th and one in the 7th, but then the 4-run 8th inning for YD carried them to a victory.
2-0 is over, so the Mariners looking to avoid history repeating itself. Trying to learn from their mistakes, and there was really just one mistake from Joe Boyle, one of the few we've seen all season long, as Menendez battles back to even the count. Just one big swing. The first pitch, Boyle throws a upper 90s fastball in the inside corner, and it was turned on by Jack Thomas Wald. And that ball is turned on and hit well down the left field line, but that will get out of play.
Yeah, got a little bit out in front of it that time, did Brad Beasley, and fortunately for Harwich, as he completely ripped that ball, but well foul, so the count stays here at 2-2.
Beasley out of Cal Poly. Flew out and reached via fielder's choice, and he wastes a 2-2 foul.
Yeah, Coach Berger out there trying to make a good one-hand barehanded catch, but can't quite get a hand on it. And Colin, we got a quick rare baseball event alert out in Brewster, a 3-pitch inning for the Brewster Whitecaps in the 6th inning.
Chatham Anglers pretty aggressive at the plate there, but definitely hasn't worked out in this one as they trail 5-1 in that ball game. The 2-2 is just upstairs, so the count run full, and Beasley looking to become the 4th leadoff man to reach base in 5 innings. Payoff pitch is popped up, foul, off to the right. Lanzilli is over, and he makes the catch. So Beasley unable to reach, and will be one away with Austin Wells coming up.
Yep, and the last time that they didn't get the leadoff man aboard, it was a 1-2-3 inning for Menendez, who's trying to work here through the 5th inning of play.
So here's Wells, 1 for 2, singled in the first to center, and flew out to left in the third. Wells has a home run against the Mariners this season. That was back at Red Wilson Field. First pitch to Wells is just off the outside corner. Wells comes in with 6 home runs, 22 RBIs. I feel like he's been stuck at 22 RBIs for quite some time, as gets a piece of that ball to even the count.
Yeah, and take a look at Harwich starters and the kind of run support that they've gotten this season. It hasn't been what I'm sure a lot of them would like for one of the teams that doesn't score a lot of runs here in the league, at least not through the first month and a half of the season. But Menendez is one of the guys that gets exceptionally low numbers of support.
1-1 is hit pretty well out towards left field, chasing it back. Gallen at the track, the wall, it's out of here. A solo home run for Austin Wells, his 7th of the season, and the YD Red Sox have tied things up 2-2 here in the 5th.
Well, there it is. Sometimes you don't need to get the leadoff man aboard to find a way to score, and Austin Wells, once again, 1 swing of the bat, 1 run on the board, and we are knotted up at 2 here at White House Field.
So with that, Austin Wells now 7 of 16 on the season against the Harwich Mariners, just below 500. He really enjoys facing this pitching staff, and that is the 3rd home run allowed this season by Antonio Menendez. His first pitch to Noah Campbell is swung on and missed.
And really quickly on Antonio Menendez's starting days, so going the entire way through the game, regardless of how long he's pitched, he has gotten just 3 runs of support this year, the 3rd lowest out of the 7-man rotation.
0-1 is fouled off by Campbell.
The highest number on that list is going to be Nick's walk, but that number is going to have an asterisk next to it, as the 12 run outburst against the Brewster Whitecaps really helped pad that. Jacob Polish and Jordan Butler are getting 4 runs of support apiece. Seckler's getting 3.25, Menendez the 3, Seymour 2.8, and McCullough just 2.5.
The 0-2 pitch will just miss to Noah Campbell. Campbell, as I mentioned earlier, big prospect for the 2020 draft, but it's a pretty big one out of high school as well. Back in 2017, drafted in the 19th round by Milwaukee. He rolls over on the 1-2, out towards second. Fedko's trouble handling it, close play, and he's safe. So Noah Campbell able to beat it out. Will await the ruling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, that's awfully close. As Fedko, you mentioned, just struggled to get it out of his glove there, as he kind of had to double clutch and a lot of speed down the line. And it looks like for the time being, I believe it will be a hit, possibly. Still waiting on the official ruling, but it'll be Campbell on first and Palmer up the bat.
They're going to give the error to Christian Fedko after a long discussion. So Campbell will reach first, and he's going. First pitch is fouled off in the box by Jake Palmer.
Of course, our team of expert officials up here getting on the horn and checking the replay back in New York. But it will be deemed an error on Christian Fedko, and play will continue here with the runner on first.
Fedko's 6th error of the season. He's the team leader in that category, just ahead of Corey Acton. Menendez, long look in. Now he comes home. And that 0-1 is in there.
Yeah, Menendez right now not afraid to pound the strike zone. He's going to continue pitching to contact, and you know it's come back to bite him once, but aside from that, he's looking to get maybe a double play here and get out of this 5th inning with a tie ball game.
Palmer 0 for 1 with a walk. Grounded into a double play and a great opportunity to strike first back in the top of the 1st. Bases loaded and 1 away at the time. That 0-2 misses upstairs. So Noah Campbell's reached base in all 3 of his plate appearances in this one. So he continues to add to that impressive on-base percentage. 404 coming into today. 1-2 is hit hard but foul off to the left.
Really quickly, the first game of the doubleheader between Wareham and Falmouth has gone final. The Commodores come out on top of that one by a final score of 5-2. So 30 minutes from now, it'll be the start of game 2.
Falmouth looking to kind of gain some ground on the top two teams in the West. Been playing some pretty solid baseball since the start of the new month. Menendez with a throw over.
Other games are in progress right now, with the exception of Brewster and Chatham. Of course, the Whitecaps leading that one 5-1. Still a ways to go before Katuitt and Hyannis and Bourne Orleans get going.
Jake Palmer, the lefty out of UC Irvine. 1-2 to him, misses outside.
And Menendez has really been struggling to locate with that almost submarine sidearm delivery that he has today. When he's gone to the lowest of the 3 arm slots, trying to keep his off speed outside, it's really been a struggle. And you get what he's going for here. He's trying to keep the ball away from the left-handed hitters. That can be one of the most complicated things to do as a right-handed sidearm pitcher. But Menendez has really just kind of kept everything off the plate, and those guys have just been content to take ball after ball.
2-2 is swung on and missed. Strike 3 as Palmer swung for the fences. He comes up empty. That's second strikeout for Menendez, and 2 away in the 5th.
Yep, and here comes Riley King, who had a golden opportunity with the bases loaded in the 3rd inning, but he popped it right back up, and Pat Winkle came back and made the catch for out number 3 to retire the inning.
So in steps Riley King, who's 0 for 2 today. King, a guy who hits really well on the road, hitting .359 on the season coming into the game. The first pitch he sees just misses. Campbell's still the runner at first with 2 away. 1 home in the inning. That one's outside.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not they can find a way to manufacture another run here. So far, the only runs coming back in the 3rd, and then the solo shot from Austin Wells in the 5th inning. Him and Nico Cavadas, I believe, going back and forth for their home run crown this year.
So it's 2-0 count to King. Runner going. There's a pop-up right behind the plate. Winkle under it. Backing up. That ball falls, and it's still in. Now it's going to be a foul ball.
Yeah, that one fell in the batter's box there, and Winkle is awfully lucky, because if that thing falls down in fair territory, that could be rough. But my biggest question is, what in the world is Noah Campbell doing? He's out there jogging leisurely out to second base. I mean, if he gets on his horse, I realize that ball did drop in foul territory, but boy, if that thing drops in fair territory, he could have been halfway home.
And even if it didn't drop in foul territory, kind of had some backspin on it, almost came back into play.
So a very strange sequence of events, but all things considered, it'll be a 2-1 count here on Riley King.
King out of University of Georgia. So Menendez looking to work out of the inning once again. And time is called. We'll have a mound meeting.
Yep, Coach Engler will be coming out to have a word with his guy, and I think that might be the perfect opportunity for us to remind everybody tuning in that tonight is a very special night here at White House Field. It's Mrs. E night, where everybody is here to honor Barbara Ellsworth. Spent a lot of time in the league, both with the Harwich Mariners, the YD Red Sox, and as a league consultant. She had a big role in the Cape Cod Baseball League as well. She hosted over 100 different host players at her house, and there are plenty of stories that have come out of that. And somebody who was beloved by not only the entire team, but also the entire community. I mean, again, we didn't get the chance to meet her coming in as 2019 interns, but you can just see the kind of impact that she's had on people in the way she's talked about here in her absence.
Of course, those 2 seats just to the left of home plate, they're in honor of her. So it's a 2-1 count to King. And he waves that one well out in front of it, so decent off-speed pitch, and Menendez battling back.
Yeah, rarity to see a guy that Coach E comes out and talks to, as for the most part, most pitchers get their information from Coach Neiman or Coach Berger, the 2 pitching coaches on the team, but still a lot of guys that like going with Coach E.
2-2 is hit on the ground, but foul, and Campbell will head back to first.
Boy, and how about the hustle out there in the bullpen? Did you see that? As somebody's always tasked with protecting whoever's out there pitching in the bullpen. Today, that is Nick Stewart. And the man out there making sure that his back was covered up is Will Heflin, who hustled over to stop that ball from going any further. Good hustle play there by him, and he got the leather on it to make the stop.
Stewart warming in the bullpen, had 3 scoreless innings a few weeks back against YD. As 2-2 with the runner going is fouled off yet again. If you're just joining us, the YD Red Sox took an early 1-0 lead in the top of the first on a Wyatt Young RBI single, but 2-run homer by Dylan Noisy briefly gave the Mariners a lead in the bottom of the fourth, and here in the top of the fifth, Austin Wells with a game-tying shot opposite field to left, and that is where we stand now, 2-2, with 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs in the inning. Menendez with the runner going, and a late swing by King, but he's just able to get a piece of it.
Yeah, barely able to tap that one back into the dirt, so the count is going to stay 2-2 here. Riley King not going down without a fight.
King a much better hitter against lefties, as he's hit .255 this season against righties compared to .455 against lefties, but 2 of his 3 home runs coming against the righties, so maybe a little bit more power against guys coming from the right side. Menendez comes set. Another 2-2. There's a high pop-up towards the right side. Lanzilli backpedaling. Now he comes back forward. That ball's going to fall in the field of play. So that ball drops. Campbell ends up at third, and it's runners at the corners with 2 away.
And once again, Campbell kind of just jogging half-heartedly around second base. He thought that was going to be dropped for sure. Now, I'm not saying he would have had enough speed to round third and come home, but he could have certainly made it interesting if he had been on his horse. But another jogging play here by Noah Campbell, and it'll be runners at the corners once again. Here comes Coach E, and that's probably going to do it here for Antonio Menendez.
Yep, Menendez, his day will be done. Is not really his fault that runner reached. It's a ball that someone on the right side of the infield probably should have made, but instead it's runners in the corners with 2 away. Nick Stewart coming into the game. We'll have more on Stewart when we come back. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back. Is Nick Stewart, the new pitcher to tell you about for the Harwich Mariners. Stewart went 3 innings last time against YD Red Sox and ended up getting a save in that game as the first pitch is swung on and hit well out towards left field by Wald. Going back into the corner, it's a running catch by Chris Galland. How about that defense to end the inning after a botched pop-up on the right side? And Jack Thomas Wald was looking for a second 3-run home run of the season against Harwich. Not to be, and the game remains tied after 4.5 due to a solo shot from Austin Wells. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. So Pat Winkle will lead things off for the second time in this game. He led off in the third and grounded out to second, and he'll check swing the first pitch, but home plate umpire signals that he went around for strike one.
Yeah, just kind of, he definitely broke his wrist there and was just kind of caught over the plate. Not the pitch he was expecting, as that thing had some late tailing action on it, and he falls behind.
There's another breaking ball from Eric Tolman, and it misses up and in. And outside of that one mistake in the fourth, Tyler Tolman's looked really strong so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a guy that typically gives up a lot of runs, as he'll actually hit, I believe, no. That didn't hit Pat Winkle.
Looked like it just got off the glove of Wells, just missed him inside.
All right, have the umpire obstructing my view, so it'll be a 2-1 here. Winkle, I'm sure, would have contested if it had hit him, so count to 2-1.
Now Winkle hits a high fly ball into shallow right field, and slowly coming in as Palmer, he's losing it a little bit, and is able to recover in time to make the catch. So Winkle, for the second time, is retired to lead off the inning.
Yeah, but here comes a guy who reached base his first time up. It's Al Hughes, who ripped one back up the middle in the third inning, and we'll see whether or not he can find his way on again as the bat continues to start to catch up with the glove for Al Hughes.
Now we've got action in the YD bullpen, as warming up for them is Carlos Lamelli. See how much longer Tolman goes as he works in a breaking ball on Hughes for strike one.
Yeah, Tolman not traditionally a guy that, I mean, not even traditionally used as a starter, as Harwich has kind of moved him around from starter to the bullpen.
Now Hal Hughes swings and hits this ball well out towards left field. Washington going back. He's just in front of the warning track, and he makes the catch for out number two. But Tyler, that was probably the hardest ball hit all season long for Hal Hughes.
Certainly the closest thing to getting over the fence, as I thought that thing might have had a chance to carry, but White House Field just so big. I mean, this is the best pitcher's park in the entire league, and it's going to go down as just another F7 for Eric Tolman.
And a couple of ball clubs here playing each other that have pitchers' ballparks, as YD Red Sox have a pretty deep ballpark to go along with pretty tall fences. So the leadoff hitter Daniel Cabrera digs in. He takes the first pitch for a ball. Cabrera is trying to break an 0-for-5 skid dating back to that Brewster game as he pops one up foul back and out of play. 0-for-2 this afternoon with a ground out and a strikeout. 26th round pick for the San Diego Padres back in 2017. 1-1 from Tolman is a breaking ball low and outside.
Yeah, Tolman being a little bit more careful here. We'll see again whether or not he has a long leash, as more than likely they're going to let him go out there and at least close out the fifth inning, but you get the feeling that could very well be it. Despite how well he's looked, he's given up just the one mistake, as this will miss inside to Daniel Cabrera.
So Cabrera with a hitter's count, looking to break out of that rough stretch. Pitch from Tolman misses low and outside for ball four, so Cabrera able to work his way on via walk. And with two away, that'll bring up Chris Galland, arguably the hottest hitter over the last week to 10 days for the Harwich Mariners.
Well, and I mean, take a look at it. They got a two-out walk back in the fourth inning, and it resulted in a Dylan Noisy two-run bomb. Now, Chris Galland, not a big power threat necessarily, but he could certainly put one over. And here comes Scott Pickler. We'll see whether or not the evening is over here for Eric Tolman.
And that is going to be it for Tolman, as working his way towards pitcher's mound is the new arm in Carlos Lamelli. So a good start from Eric Tolman, but he's unable to go the required 5 innings to be eligible for a win. But despite it being a two-out situation, that's going to be it for Tolman. And we'll tell you more about the new pitcher when we come back. Once again, it is 2-2. Harwich and YD tied up from White House Field. So the new pitcher in this one is Carlos Lamelli for the YD Red Sox. Lamelli, in his 6th appearance this season, his 3rd relief appearance, as he's also had 3 starts. And he has looked solid for the YD Red Sox, 1-1 with a 6 ERA, giving up 8 earned runs in 12 innings pitched. So Tyler, it's a new arm for the Harwich Mariners, as this is the first time Lamelli will pitch against Harwich this season.
Yeah, looking at an opportunity to face off here against a righty as they'll flip things up. So Chris Galland, a right-handed hitter himself, will get an opportunity to face off against him to lead the inning off, or not lead the inning off, but to try to get something started with 2 outs in the inning.
Chris Galland, I'm sure, very happy to see a righty come in and sit 341 on the season with 8 RBIs against him this year. Lead off first from Cabrera, and the first pitch from Lamelli is over for a strike. Galland singled back in the first, then flew out to left to end the third on a ball he hit really hard, but right at the outfielder Ron Washington. The 0-1 misses low and outside, and there's the defensive prowess of Austin Wells once again, moving to his right and able to stab it out of the dirt and prevent Cabrera from moving up to second.
Well, that could have been a very dangerous proposition if that had gotten by, as it could have put Daniel Cabrera in scoring position here for Galland, who's been driving in runs left and right.
1-1 is fouled off. Carlos Lamelli has appeared twice in the last 10 days. He's gone 2 1/3, giving up just 2 hits, no runs. So Lamelli has certainly showed signs of improvement as we're here in the midst of July. He's got a 1-2 count on Chris Galland. Conservative lead off of first from Cabrera. He extends it a little bit. And the 1-2 is hit pretty well out towards right center. Coming in is Palmer after the first step back, and he will make the catch, and that will end the inning. So despite a 2-out base runner, the Mariners unable to capitalize. We're through 5 from White House Field. It is 2-2. The Mariners and the YD Red Sox tied up. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. The score from White House Field as we head to the top of the 6th inning. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bringing you coverage of another edition of Harwich Mariners baseball. And Tyler, this is a game in which the Mariners are looking to, I believe, match their season high in a win streak up to 3, as we've seen them a lot hovering around that 500 mark all season long, especially earlier in the year. And this could be a stretch, build some wins off of Eastern opponents, a stat line that they've had trouble against all season long, as Carson Taylor digs in and the first pitch he sees is outside.
Yeah, the last couple of wins that they've had have come against Eastern opponents, as they had the victory over the Brewster Whitecaps, and then of course the one before that was against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, who play in the West. But yeah, a chance to try to build on what has been an increasingly good season against the East. It's still pretty tough as this missed low and inside, as you look at the number and you see, well, against the East this season, they are just 5-9, but considering they started 0-7, they have certainly been on the upswing there.
And the 2-0 misses outside, so Stewart having a little bit of trouble controlling against Carson Taylor. Taylor's grounded out a couple of times so far. The 3-0. And that's up and away, not close, so a rough start to the inning for Nick Stewart as he puts on the 8-hitter in Taylor. Now Ron Washington will will get an opportunity with nobody out and a runner on first.
And both guys who came in ended up coming in and getting one quick out. For the Harwich Mariners, with Nick Stewart with runners at first and third. He was able to get the fly out to left field on a good Chris Gallen play. And on the other side, it was the new pitcher Carlos Lamelli coming in and finding a way to retire Chris Gallen with a runner on first and 2 away.
Stewart has been kind of the righty long reliever for the Mariners this season. And the first pitch to Washington is a jam shot foul off to the right out of play. Washington singled, came around to score back in the third. So he was able to go first to third after an error on a pickoff move. Also struck out in the fourth. Decent leadoff first from Taylor. Stewart with a long look, and now he comes home and catches Washington out in front. He falls behind 0-2.
You know, regardless of whether or not the makeup doubleheader is going to be played against Orleans or at Orleans or here, which again it will be at Orleans, another doubleheader kind of helps the Harwich Mariners as they're still 7-1 in games that don't go 9 innings. So, you know, when they haven't had to play the full 9, they've looked awfully good this season as a total overall product.
The 0-2 is hit pretty well out towards right center. And over to make the catch is Joey Weimer. So, once again, Stewart able to coax a fly out, and Washington's retired for out number 1 in the 6th.
Yep, and here comes the toughest part of the order. It'll be 1, 2, 3, Wyatt Young, Brad Beasley, and Austin Wells, all 3 of which have found their way on base at least once today. Young's done it twice. He had an RBI single back in the 3rd, and then, of course, Austin Wells had the solo shot that is currently the reason this game is tied at 2-2. That came back in the 5th inning.
So here's Young. Got a decent amount of space on the right side of the infield with Lanzilli holding the runner. Cavadas playing with his toes on the grass. First pitch to Young just misses, and it's definitely a smaller strike zone to work with Young being just 5'7".
Yeah, not a ton of room there, and Young has kind of been able to work that to his advantage throughout the course of this season, as so far he has had 10 walks.
Good patience and a good sense of putting the bat on the ball. He does that there, but it's out towards second. Flip by Fedko to Hughes. Return throw is in time, and it's a 4-6-3 double play. The second one turned by the Mariners in this game, and that will end the inning. So Nick Stewart able to work himself out of the jam. We're through 5.5 from White House Field. It is YD2, Harwich 2. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Carlos Lamelli will head out for his first full inning of work. He came in to get the final out of the 5th, leaving Eric Tolman went 4 2/3, giving up 2 runs, both earned on 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So Lamelli will look to keep things knotted. He will face off against the heart of the lineup, who Tyler did some of the damage in the 4th with Nico Cavadas drawing that 2-out walk that led to a Dylan Noisy 2-run home run.
Yeah, and again, Harwich has been doing their best work with 2 outs all season long, and they extend on that here with a good 4th inning, but now they're going to have to get another run if they're going to come out on top, and they'll do it against Carlos Lamelli, who misses outside for ball 1.
Christian Fedko with a couple of ground outs to second so far. Lamelli working from the windup. And the 1-0 is sent in the air out towards shallow right center. Young has to run a long way, and it's actually Campbell who makes the catch. A nice over-the-shoulder catch by Noah Campbell, who once again playing on the left side of the infield with the shift on Fedko, and he runs that one down in shallow center for out number 1.
Actually, he didn't grab it as the ruling, so it's going to be a
Wow.
single for Fedko. But I'm with you. I didn't actually see him bend down to pick that ball up. It looked like he was able to web it. And you know what? If they're not playing the shift on Fedko, that's probably an easy out to make for Noah Campbell. But instead, it goes down as a hit for Christian Fedko, and he's on first to lead off the inning. The first leadoff man aboard for Harwich today.
That ball just dropping out over the outstretched arm of Campbell. It's a tough play to make, as he really had to run straight back after that ball hit over his head. So Weimer with a runner on and nobody out at the plate. He'll take the first pitch low for ball 1.
Yep, and with Weimer on, or with Weimer up, a big opportunity here for Harwich to try to extend this. And of course, after that, you have Nico Cavada standing on deck, and then Dylan Noisy with the 2-run bomb in the hole if it comes down to it.
And Weimer will lay that one off to make it 2-0.
It's got awfully quiet after that, though. 7-8-9. There's just the one hit coming from Hal Hughes. Aside from that, they are collectively 0 for 5 with a strikeout, so we'll see whether or not they can produce something here in the inning.
2-0 misses outside, 3-0, and Joey Weimer is the only player in the Mariners lineup to have a batting average of over 300 against both righties and lefties this season. Hitting 345 against lefties, and now with the righty on the mound, he's hitting 306. 10 of his 14 RBIs coming against right-handed pitching. Fedko off of first, the 3-0. And that misses. That's how you know it's actually going to catch the corner for a strike, and looked like it might have been a little bit low, but regardless, Weimer digs in once again with a 3-1 count. Nico Cavadis waits on deck. And the 3-1. That one's over as well, so now the count run full.
Yeah, Weimer kind of just put his hands on his hip after that 3-0 call, and not a lot you can do about that. Have to just kind of settle down, and he didn't toss his bat. He didn't start heading towards first. To his credit, he sat there and waited for the call, and it was called strike 1, so now it'll be a payoff coming.
3-2 is hit in the air out towards left. Going back is Washington. He's under it. Makes the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, pretty good ride given to that ball by Joey Weimer, but it stays in the yard once again. I mean, that's a home run in a lot of different places, but White House Field, the biggest pitcher's park in the entire league. Part of the reason why Harwich's ERA maybe is low as it is this year, but despite that, we've still seen a ton of home runs this season, Colin, and it started off kind of slowly, but it's picked up recently, including a game against Brewster, where 13 of the 23 runs came via the long ball. So just, you know, more and more home runs getting piled on as guys adjust to using the wooden bat, and we'll see whether or not that trend continues here with Nico Cavadis, the team's and league's home run leader, up at the plate.
First pitch to Cavadis is just above the letters. Cavadis, all 8 of his home runs this season coming against right-handed pitching. So he'll look to make it 9. The 1-0 is in there for a strike, in Wells. Kind of looking to snap, throw down to first, but he couldn't get it cleanly out of his catcher's mitt.
Yeah, you got to focus on making the catch before you can make the throw. So it'll be a 1-1 count to Cavadis as things start to cool down a little bit here at White House Field. The sun starting to set behind the trees back here.
Just the one steal on the season for Christian Fedko. He's got his lead off first, the 1-1. And that one is sliced off to the left, foul.
Yeah, Fedko, for as quick as he is, not one of the better base stealers on this team, and they haven't really used him that aggressively, but he's still come across to score a ton of runs this year for the Harwich Mariners. One of the top players on the team in that stat category is this season. He has scored 13 runs. That's actually good for third on the team.
1-2 is over for strike 3, and Nico Cavadis not too happy with with himself, and he strikes out looking for out number 2 in the bottom of the 6th.
So here comes Dylan Noisy, who broke an 0 for 17 snap with a big-time 2-run bomb, currently representing the only runs of the day for the Harwich Mariners. So we'll see whether or not he can maybe do it again, or, I mean, at the least you got to think, just find his way on base. It doesn't have to be a home run. Just keep the inning going and get down to Chris Lanzilli.
YD Red Sox out hitting the Mariners 9-4, but both teams bringing home 2 apiece so far. And first pitch misses low and outside, and of course those 2 Dylan Noisy responsible for with that home run you mentioned back in the fourth.
Well, they had 6 of those hits in the first 3 innings, and we're only able to bring 1 run across. So that's a big part of the reason why YD is not currently on top.
1-0. And that ball's hit hard out towards left, and it's going to fall in front of Ron Washington for a base hit. So Dylan Noisy continues to swing a hot bat. He's now 2 for 3, and there are 2 runners on with 2 away for Chris Lanzilli.
I mean, what have we said all season long? We've said this about Chris Lanzilli, too. If they can just find a way to get him going, he could be one of the better producers on this team. As, again, Dylan Noisy, a guy that had a really impressive 2019 campaign out there at Texas Tech, where he was able to hit .298 on the year, an OPS of .902, and he had 8 home runs and 51 RBIs to that total as well. So a really capable hitter, and finally starting to come through here in this game at least. We'll see if he can continue it game to game, but this has been the day to be Dylan Noisy, and now he stands on first, tying run in scoring position.
Lamelli running into a bit of trouble in the 6th. And Lanzilli hits a broken bat flare out towards left field. That one's falling fast, and it's going to get down for a base hit. Fedko will try to score from second. He will. The throw comes to third, and Noisy is in standing, and it's a go-ahead RBI single for Chris Lanzilli here in the 6th.
Tell you what, any way you can get it, you got to find a way to get guys home, and that'll work for the Harwich Mariners. Is again just a little broken bat flare, and I think you and I saw the same thing. The way it came off the bat, we thought it would have a chance for Washington, but that thing just came in and completely died. So Harwich takes a 3-2 lead, and once again, Colin, here comes Pat Winkle with an opportunity to drive in another run. He's been in more of these situations than anybody this year, and despite having one of the worst batting averages on the team, he's one of the top leaders in RBIs.
Yep, 7 RBIs with runners in scoring position this season for Winkle, 7 of his 8. And the first pitch misses up and away for ball 1, and with Lamelli struggling here, once again, action in the bullpen for the YD Red Sox. Chase Walter, the right-hander, warming up. 1-0. That one's over for a strike, and all 3 of the RBIs coming with 2 outs once again for the Mariners, so they continue to hit the ball well with 2 outs. A strange trend, but I'm sure you'll take it if you're Coach Steve Englert. Noisy at third, Lanzilli at first. 1-1 is a ground ball up the middle softly to Campbell. Fields it cleanly. Throw on to first is in time, but not before the Harwich Mariners retake the lead on an RBI single by Chris Lanzilli with, once again, 2 away. We're through 6 from White House Field. Mariners lead at 3-2. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. The Mariners lead after 6 innings from White House Field, and fans, quick reminder, this game is brought to you in part by Curry College. Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams, sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonels and their championship teams. It's all online, www.curry.edu.
So as we go here to the top of the 7th inning, the YD Red Sox will be sending up Brad Beasley, Austin Wells, and Noah Campbell. It'll be another inning coming up here for Nick Stewart, and so far he's looked pretty good. He did walk the leadoff man Carson Taylor back in the 6th inning on just 4 pitches, but a 4-6-3 double play to Wyatt Young was able to get Harwich out of the inning, so they'll look to rebound here and continue the 1-run lead that they have after a big-time inning in the 6th. Christian Fetko coming around to score on the Chris Lanzilli flare. First pitch is on its way, and that one's going to be outside to Brad Beasley for ball 1.
And the last time it was 2-3-4 leading things off was the 5th when Whitey was able to strike for a run on the Austin Wells solo shot, and here we go as Brad Beasley up ahead in the count 2-0.
Yeah, you definitely want to be awfully careful with Austin Wells. standing on deck. Don't want to let anybody else be on base when he's there as the 2-0 pitch is on its way, and that one's going to miss high. So once again, Nick Stewart struggling here with the first batter he faces in the inning. The lone exception to that rule has been back in the fifth when he came in. He was able to get Jack Thomas Wald to fly out, although that took some really, really good work in left field for Chris Gallen. This one's going to be nailed out to left field, back to the track. Gallen can only look up, and it's going to be another game-tying solo shot. This time for Brad Beasley. We're knotted up at 3.
Yep, I jinxed him again. Said that last time in the 5th inning, it was with 2, 3, 4 guys due up. It was a home run that tied the game, and sure enough, this time Brad Beasley getting the job done. And he's a guy that has a decent amount of power, only his 2nd home run of the season, but he just muscles up on that ball. That one actually hit the trees on the fly out in left field. So the YD Red Sox, just like they haven't done all season long against Harwich, they don't go away.
Now that might be the 2nd deepest home run we've seen hit here at White House Field. When we talk about how much of a pitcher's park it is, you really have to muscle one out if you're going to get it out of the field, much less out there into the tree line. So here comes Austin Wells. First pitch that he sees is going to be in there for strike 1, and he could potentially give YD a run or a lead here if he can find a way to muscle one out. The 0-1 to him, that's going to be fouled away, and he falls behind here 0-2.
And if he's able to hit one out once again, he would tie himself with a league lead with Nico Cavadas. Not sure why I'm even mentioning that at this point.
He just had to go and say something as the 0-2 is swung on and missed. Well, Colin, you can't give us bad luck all the time, and that'll be strike 3 on Austin Wells, who goes down swinging. So Noah Campbell will come up now. He's reached base on all 3 of his at-bats so far. A single in the first, a single in the third, and then an error by Christian Fetko back in the 5th.
Yep, a great bounce back at bat, though, for Nick Stewart. He's able to get a good hitter in Wells to chase, and he struck him out on 3 pitches, so despite things being tied, maybe his nerves have calmed down a little bit after giving up that home run.
Here comes the first pitch. That'll miss low and inside. Actually, they're going to call it in there on the edge, so no 1 count here to start the at-bat to Noah Campbell.
Campbell's just been an on-base machine all season long for the Red Sox.
So watch that one for strike 2. Yeah, it seems like, again, I mean, I keep coming back to this point, but if Campbell had been hustling, this could very well be a 4-3 game in favor of YD. Here comes the 0-2 to Campbell. That'll be swung on and fouled away, and the count will stay right where it's at for Nick Stewart. Quick update around the lead going into the 9th inning. It's a 9-1 lead for the Brewster Whitecaps with just 3 outs left to get, so pending some kind of a colossal meltdown, that game will likely go final in favor of Brewster. This pitch misses high to Noah Campbell, and then out in Orleans, the Firebirds have a 2-0 lead on the Bourne Braves, so this game becomes more and more important for a Harwich team that finds themselves sandwiched between those two, fighting for that last playoff spot. Currently a game and a half ahead of Brewster, a game and a half behind Orleans, as this is taken to third, and it's going to be booted by Cavadas, a rare mistake by him, and that's going to be a single here with 1 away for Noah Campbell, who finds his way on base for a 4th consecutive at-bat here today.
Yeah, and that's a tough play to make for Cavadas. We'll have to await the ruling. The ball was hit pretty hard by Campbell, and we got another discussion. It's been a busy day up here in the scoring booth.
Yep, the replay crew will come into full effect once again here. They got the headphones, the monitors, and everything else you could ask for as they dig into this. So they're going to rule that a hit. Cavadas will be spared of the 3rd Harwich Mariners error today, and it's going to be the 3rd hit of the day for Noah Campbell, who takes off towards second. He's going to be out by a mile. What a strike delivered there by Pat Winkle, and it's not going to matter as Noah Campbell is going to be thrown out by about 6 steps. What a throw.
Yeah, and despite the struggles that we've seen from Pat Winkle at the plate from time to time, the defense has been consistent all season long. He has thrown out a large number of runners this season, and that accuracy just on full display that time.
0-1 misses inside. How about this too, Colin? For the 4 times that Noah Campbell's been on base, he has yet to come around to score. So it'll be Jake Palmer hitting here with an empty count. He's reached on a walk. Aside from that, he grounded into a double play to finish the 1st inning off with the bases loaded and then struck out. Broken bat. That one will be taken foul into the Harwich bullpen. As another arm warming up out there for the Mariners should they need him.
I don't know what it is about Jake Palmer, but it seems like every time he swings the bat, if he makes contact, that ball is going a mile. I mean, it seems like he's kind of like Joey Weimer in the fact that he throws his entire body into his swing. So no home runs yet for him this season. That kind of surprises me a little bit with how much bat speed it seems like he's got.
Well, and again, he could be one of those guys that's very aggressive, like Weimer, who only has 1 home run this season. He just kind of focuses on smashing the ball somewhere. As we've got a long delay here trying to find some new lumber as Jake Palmer, and with how long it's taken him, I wondered if he had to go and cut the tree down and kind of build it himself.
Yeah, he's actually over in the dugout just rubbing down some pine tar on the handle of it, so finally he ends up coming back, and he'll be greeted with a 1-2 count from Nick Stewart.
So with a 1-2 count, it'll be Jake Palmer digging in again here. Bases are empty, 2 away in the inning. Brad Beasley has already scored on a home run that brought us even at 3, so it's a 3-3 ball game here. And again, the Harwich Mariners have been out hitting this game 10-6, and they've got 2 errors to none committed here by YD. So kind of an interesting game, one that the Mariners really maybe shouldn't even be around in, but they're hanging in there as this pitch is going to be in there for strike 3. Jake Palmer down on strikes, his 2nd K of the day, and that'll take us to the home half of the 7th, knotted up at 3. But once again, it's a Brad Beasley solo shot that ties us up. When we come back, the Mariners try to get that run back here on the Harwich YouTube network.
All right, Pan.
It is 7th inning stretch time here at White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the home half of the 7th inning. And Colin, got a little trivia question for you, as we've done a couple of these throughout the course of the season. So Harwich is a 7-man rotation here in the Cape, which might be one of the most any team has had this season, but they have had 14 different pitchers start a ball game this year. Can you name them?
All 14.
All 14.
I might need some time to you know what? I'll write it down for you, and I'll tell you when I'm ready. And I'll
All
go ahead
right,
and
sounds
give it
good.
to you.
I'll keep the official list right here by me. For the time being, it'll be Hal Hughes coming up to bat. He hits in the 9th hole and leads things off here in the 7th inning. Then it'll be Daniel Cabrera and Chris Gallen due up after him. So Hughes has already 1 for 2 today. He had a really solid hit back in the 3rd inning and then sent one all the way to the wall back in the 6th. Something we're not really typically used to seeing him do, but he'll watch the first pitch in there for a strike from Carlos Lamelli, who's back out there for another inning for the YD Red Sox. And Lamelli delivers the 0-1. That one's going to be skied into center field. It's going to charge in for Beasley, and that's going to fall in between Brad Beasley and Noah Campbell. It's going to be a little bloop hit there for Hal Hughes, and for the 2nd time today, he finds his way on base with a cheeky single.
That's back-to-back multi-hit games for Hal Hughes in general, and also back-to-back multi-hit games against Harwich this season for against YD this season for Hughes. So he's done a good job against YD, and luckily for him, Mariners have been playing them a lot over the last couple of days.
So the go-ahead run is on first base with nobody out here for the M's. And it'll be the top of the order coming up. Daniel Cabrera, who is hitless today, he has reached on a walk, struck out, and grounded out, will stand in now. First pitch to him will miss well inside. A good stop there by Austin Wells, and the count is 1-0. So again, Lamelli, we wondered whether or not he would come out and get this inning, and still an arm warming up out there in the bullpen for the YD Red Sox. Get the feeling it's a pretty short leash for Lamelli, who's already given up 1 run in this one. He'll let that one go inside, and the count here is 2-0.
Yeah, Lamelli's had a bit of trouble controlling some of his pitches, especially at the start of the inning. It seems like he gets stronger as the inning goes on, but struggled a little bit, and of course with the Mariners 2-out hitting, it's a tough spot for him to be in.
2-0 swung on a miss. That one would have probably missed inside, but Cabrera jumps on it. The count here is 2-0. It is Chase Walter right now warming up in the YD bullpen. See whether or not they actually bring him in, as he has pitched in 2 games. He's pitched 3 1/3 and a dismal 18.9 ERA. Swinging and missing at that pitch is Daniel Cabrera. So the count goes to 2-2 here. Go ahead run standing on first. Nobody out here in the 7th inning. Cabrera stands in. The 2-2. That'll miss high and inside. And the count has been worked full here by Daniel Cabrera.
Decent speed of Hughes on first. Wonder if maybe the hit and run will be on with a full count.
Certainly could be a lot of options for Harwich here, but we'll see how much they want to push the speed of Hal Hughes over at first, who again has a lot of speed but is not the most aggressive base runner on the team. 3-2 will miss inside. It won't matter. A walk here is going to put runners at first and second. More importantly, it puts the go-ahead run in scoring position for Chris Gallant.
So I've written down 11 names. I'm blanking on, I think, the last 3.
Okay, so let's let me get the list out here as Gallant stands in, and let's hear it.
So I got Logan Allen,
Yep.
Connor Seckler,
Yep.
Carson Seymour, Antonio Menendez, Jacob Polish, Connor McCullough, Joe Boyle, Buddy Hayward, Nick Swalk, Nick Stewart, Jordan Butler. Those are the 11 that I have.
Okay. Give me 1 second here as Gallant stands in. Listed those off awfully quickly. Here comes the first pitch. Gallant scores to bunt. He's going to lay it down. It's going to stay in fair territory. The throw to first is not in time. Chris Gallant is going to reach on a sac bunt, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. The go-ahead run on third, and Christian Fedko heading to the plate.
Yeah, and you wonder if this might be the end of the game for Lamelli, as out comes Scott Pickler, and he's looking towards the bullpen. Let's see if he signals, but for now, no change yet. But what a start to the inning for the Mariners, getting the first 3 guys out, and now all of a sudden, you have the bases loaded with the heart of the order coming up. Very favorable situation for Harwich if they want to go ahead and take this lead, perhaps for good.
And Pickler will take the ball out of his pitcher's hand, so that's going to do it for Carlos Lamelli. So speaking of pitchers, let's go ahead and run through these again. So you got Logan Allen, Connor Seckler, Buddy Hayward, Nick Stewart, Carson Seymour, Jacob Polish. You got Connor McCullough, Nick Swalk, Antonio Menendez, Joe Boyle, and Jordan Butler. Am I correct in saying all of those?
Yep.
You actually only missed 2 guys. I may have overestimated the number of guys that there were. Would you like to take a crack at them, or would you like the 2 pitchers that had started?
2 more. Now you can go ahead and...
Wade Strain and
That's
Evan
right.
Shaver.
That's right. I
Evan
forgot.
Shaver, of course, getting the start during that Hyannis doubleheader.
Yep. I mean, it would have taken me a long time to realize those names, but...
Oh, I wouldn't have got him either, trust me.
Yeah.
So, another trivia question here is the new guy taking over on the hill, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the guy that they're bringing in here, and we'll check the jersey number, as that is in fact 44 for the
Chase
YD Red
Walter.
Sox. So it is Chase Walter, and once again, let's run down what he's done this year. He's pitched 3 1/3 innings in 2 games. He's given up 5 hits, 7 runs. He has struck out 8 guys to just 2 walks, but his ERA is 18.9. This may be the best opportunity Harwich has had all season long, with the bases loaded, nobody out, and Fedko, Weimer, Cavadas due up to bat.
Yeah, no question. It's a golden opportunity for Harwich, and we'll see how well Fedko, Weimer, and Cavadas can do to bring in as many runs as possible. We know what they're capable of in terms of RBIs, all of them with at least 9 on the season, so they're facing a guy who's struggled all year, but it's a chance of redemption for Chase Walter. Let's see if he's up for the task.
And to our viewing audience, you guys kind of got to see us run through the new pitcher thing in real time, as it's always, all right, what's the guy's jersey number? Let's check the stat sheet. Let's make sure we got the right guy, find some stats, and then bring it to you guys. But it will be, as we mentioned, coming into the game here, Chase Walter, who is out of the University of Western California. So the man from Peachtree City, Georgia, goes from the deep south all the way to the west coast, and now for the Cape Cod League in the east coast. He has been well-traveled, and he'll look to prevent any more mileage from being put on the base paths here for the middle of the Harwich order, who has just been raking in run after run after run this season. And here's where Harwich might be able to kind of earn a victory. As we mentioned, they've gotten out hit 11-8 today, but it's still a 3-3 game, and one that they could easily bounce back in here.
Yeah, not a great outing for Lamelli by any stretch, going an inning and a third plus, giving up 5 hits. He's responsible for all 3 runners on base. He's already given up 1 so far. And control-wise wasn't that great either. He had a walk mixed in as well in just the one strikeout. So quite the mess that Chase Walter is going to have to try to clean up, but we'll see if he can maybe get a big double play ball. I would probably bring home a run, but worst case, you only give up one in the inning.
So with the bases loaded, the go-ahead run standing over there on third base, and Christian Fetko at the dish. The Harwich Mariners with nobody out will send the middle of the order up, and the first pitch to Fetko is going to be in there for a strike from the righty out there out of the pen. Chase Walter, just the 2 appearances for this team this year. This will be number 3 in terms of games he's been brought into on the Cape. Fetko stands in the 0-1 pitch, and he will chase a fastball well above his head for strike 2.
And Walter actually recorded a win just a couple of days ago. Over the last 5 games, he's pitched just 3 1/3 in 2 appearances. But he has given up 7 earned runs, so not exactly the best numbers. But hey, you can at least say that he contributed to a win.
Came up with a team victory. Part of the reason why pitchers wins is an overblown status. Fetko will fight this pitch off and stay alive. And that's the other thing. He doesn't seem to have a big control issue on the season. We mentioned 8 strikeouts to only 2 walks for him. So really not a guy that comes in and puts a lot of guys on for free. But all of his runs that he's given up this year have been earned.
Yeah, that's the risk you kind of run when you attack the zone like he does, is sometimes you can get hit pretty hard. And so far, that's how it's been for opposing hitters.
The 0-2 pitch, that'll miss low for ball 1, and yeah, you really do wonder how a guy who this season has only had 7 guys come up. So if I'm not mistaken here, he's had 7 guys reach base via either a hit or a walk. He's given up 7 runs. I don't know if there have been a lot of guys that have gotten put on via errors or anything like that, but according to the stats, pending errors, every man who has reached base on him has come across to score as Fetko swings and misses at that one to record the first out of the inning.
And looking at it, it's actually 7 runs. All 7 were earned, so that kind of just solidifies it.
So every single person who has reached base this season on poor Chase Walter has come across the score, but he's not responsible for any of the men on base right now. And let's run through them again in case you've forgotten. It's Hal Hughes over there on third base, Daniel Cabrera on second, and Chris Galland on first. And here comes Joey Weimer, one of the toughest guys in the league to double up. So he would really have to smash one in the right spot, as the infield is at double play depth. Corners are not in, so the main focus is on ending the inning, and the first pitch to Weimer will miss inside for ball 1.
All right, let's see if this works this time. The Mariners have not had a grand slam yet this season.
They haven't. And you know what? At this point, you owe Harwich 2 runs today, I believe. Tied up here, 3-3 from White House Field here on Mrs. E night. Harwich looking to get a big-time win and get their longest winning streak of the season. It would make it a 3-game winning streak, and they do it against a YD team that they've struggled against this year, as Weimer will watch that one miss low for ball 2.
I believe it's been 2 3-run home runs this season for the Mariners. They were both hit by Nico Cavadas.
He's had every 3-run homer of the year. He's had a lot of the 2-run homers, and heck, he's had over half of the solo shots as well. The only Mariner prior to today, as this pitch misses low, to have a home run in the month of July, and then Dylan Noisy knocked one in. There's 2 or 3 Harwich runs of the day, and back to the Hyannis game, bases loaded, and if a walk comes in here from Chase Walter, that would be the go-ahead run for the Mariners here in the 7th. Weimer stands in. You wonder whether or not he's got the green light, how he's been swinging the bat. He does not, and that will help, as once again, the go-ahead run's going to get walked in on 4 pitches from Chase Walter, and the Mariners have a 4-3 lead.
Yep, and he and Chris Galland continue to have that success, as over the last week, it's now 13 RBIs between the two, and a total of 14 hits. So those 2 guys continue to produce, and that time it was kind of an easy RBI for Joey Weimer, as nothing really close to the strike zone on the 4-pitch walk.
And back to that Hyannis game, as Cavadas comes up to the plate, it was actually Galland who walked to bring in the go-ahead run in that one. So here comes Cavadas, and it's another ball out of the zone. 5 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone, thrown to start the outing for Chase Walter.
Not the worst idea when with a power threat like Cavadas at the plate. Might want to be extra cautious.
Cavadas licking his lips at the thought of a fastball, and this one's going to miss outside. So the count is 2-0 here on Nico. But again, they've got nowhere to put him, and you got Dylan Noisy on deck, who's already got 1 2-run jack today. Here comes Scott Pickler to have a word with his guy. Actually, that's not Scott Pickler. It'll be the pitching coach for the YD Sox.
Now Nico Cavadas has not had a home run this season against the YD Red Sox, so he's looking to do that in the grandest way possible.
No pun intended.
Yeah, completely intended.
Okay, fair enough. Cavadas could give Harwich the first grand slam of the year, but at this point, I'm sure a double into the gap that scores 2, maybe even 3 would be just as welcome for a Mariners squad that has been unable to put this game out of reach for YD. It's been close a number of times as Harwich, after going down 1-0, made it a 2-1 game. Then a solo shot tied it at 2.
Unfortunately, that's been a pattern for the Mariners against YD all season long.
They've been in every single game, but so far they've lost 2 out of 3. With a 2-0 count, they are up by 1. Cavadas will send this one high in the air out to center field. Should be deep enough to score the runner from third. He will tag, and the throw is going to come in to third base. Everybody's going to move up a station. How about that? Some heads-up base running by Joey Weimer as he knew Beasley's throw was going to come to third base. It's going to be an easy run driven in here by Daniel, or as Daniel Cabrera comes across to score. And another RBI on a sac fly goes out to Nico Cavadas.
And that could be a significant play for Joey Weimer moving up 90 feet, because now with Dylan Noisy at the plate, a base hit should score 2 runs with Weimer's speed, and that would make it a 4-run lead instead of a 3 had Joey Weimer stayed at first base.
Still no runs that have been charged to Chase Walter, but the runner on second is his. So here's the first pitch to Noisy, and he is going to smash that one out into deep left center field. It is back. It is gone. 3-run bomb for Dylan Noisy breaks open this game, and the Mariners are up 8-3 here in the 7th.
How about breaking out of a slump for Dylan Noisy, 1 of 13 over the last 5 games, and all of a sudden he's exploded for 2 home runs and 5 RBIs to go along with a single, as he has been an absolute beast this evening, and all of a sudden the bad season gets only worse for Chase Walter.
Just the second guy this season for the Mariners to record a multi-home run game. Just the second guy for Harwich this year to have a home run of the month of July. And, well, he makes it a big one here as they've gone up 8-3. Chris Lanzilli will come up. And once again, Colin, doing all of this damage with 2 outs.
Yeah, it's actually remarkable. I mean, obviously, runs coming in before that, prior to 2 outs as the pitch misses low with the walk and the sac fly. But eventually you get to 2 outs, and just no problem for this team. Dylan Noisy squares up another pitch and hits it over the left center field fence.
Lanzilli will look to add on to the inning here. He'll swing at a pitch down in the dirt for strike 1. Count is even here at 1-1. Pat Winkle stands in the on-deck circle, and Harwich has got to feel a lot better about this, as finally they've given themselves a lead that can't be taken away as quickly. As Lanzilli swings through that for strike 2.
That also makes Dylan Noisy the only other player to have multiple home runs this season outside of Nico Cavadas, and it just took him 1 game.
It certainly did, and again, we've talked about it. He's been swinging for the fences all year long, and he hits 2 out of the biggest ballpark in the league as Lanzilli sends a sharp shot over there. Good dodge by Coach Tebow of Harwich.
Mariners trying to bat around for the 4th time, and I want to say about 7 or 8 games. So the Mariners have just offensively found their rhythm at maybe the perfect time this season.
Could turn into, again, a very scary team come playoff time. 2-2 is going to be fouled off down the third base line by Chris Lanzilli, who's already gotten on base once today. He was actually a part of actually had the sole RBI in the 6th inning that gave Harwich 1-run lead. That run was erased by Brad Beasley with a solo shot of his own, but Harwich has rallied to score 5 here in this inning as another ball is fouled back into the screen by Pat Winkle, and the count stays 2-2. And this could be good for the Mariners because the game out in Brewster has gone final. It's a 9-1 victory for the Whitecaps over the Chatham Anglers. This one will miss high, and the count has been worked full here. Other words around the league, the Orleans Firebirds are up 3-0 on the Bourne Braves, so everybody might just be kind of shifting up a spot here in the East. YD Red Sox still sitting in second. Payoff pitch. That'll be popped high in the air. Plenty of time for Austin Wells to settle under it, and he'll glove it for out number 3. But not before Harwich strikes for 5. They take an 8-3 lead into the 8th when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go to the 8th inning of play. Harwich needs just 6 outs to close this one out. And the bottom of the East retaliating today as Brewster already picked up a victory over Chatham. If Harwich can hold this one, second place YD will lose to 4th place Harwich. And then, of course, 3rd place Orleans currently holding a 3-0 lead over the Bourne Braves. One more score to update you on. The Katuitt Kettleers up 7-2 over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks as Hyannis continuing to lose ball games. They are still looking for just their 7th win of the season.
Things starting to really tighten up in the East once again, as it was really close during the first month, and now all of a sudden you see Whitecaps are starting to win again. The Mariners are starting to win, trying to make it 3 in a row here this evening, and could turn into a really exciting last couple weeks of the season.
Corey Acton comes in at second base for the Harwich Mariners, so I believe that will actually do it for Christian Fedko, unless he's slid over into the DH spot. But for the time being, Acton taking over defensively. The 1-0 pitch will miss high and inside from Nick Stewart to Riley King, and it'll be Riley King, Jack Thomas Wald, and Carson Taylor due up here for the YD Red Sox.
Even Corey Acton, as he comes into the game, he's been swinging a pretty good bat too as of late over the last couple of games.
Certainly has, and a welcome sight as he has been another one of those guys that really started off slow for Harwich, with the exception of the big home run that he had. But Acton came up big with a 2 RBI double in the 3rd inning. Here comes the 3-0 pitch. That'll be a fastball down the pipe for strike 1, but taking all the way was Riley King. And really quickly, another score to pass you along. Falmouth Commodores and Wareham Gatemen in Game 2 of the doubleheader. It's a 2-0 lead for the Gatemen as big swing and a miss taken there by Riley King, and the count's been worked full here by Nick Stewart.
And for Stewart, it's another situation of right place, right time. He comes into the game despite giving up a run, and now he finds himself in line for the win if Harwich is able to keep the 5-run lead.
Payoff pitch. King will foul that away, and we'll set up and do it again here. But the only interleague action today going on between Orleans and Bourne, the discrepancy between the East and West continues to just be a massive deal. As again, the West currently about 15 complete games or 30 points behind the East. 3-2 pitch, that's going to miss for ball 4. It's going to be another leadoff walk issued here by Nick Stewart, who's really struggled to get the leadoff man out. He walked Carson Taylor back in the 6th inning. He gave up the solo shot to Brad Beasley in the 7th, and here he walks Riley King to start off the 8th.
Yeah, and with dangerous bat and Jack Thomas Wald coming to the plate, definitely want to be a little more aggressive with this 5-run lead. I mean, you've got offense behind you. I think you're better off just going right after these hitters and trying to make them put the ball in play.
A lot of good defense behind Nick Stewart as the runner on first will hold tight. Thomas Wald will foul that one off, and it's going to be an 0-1 count here to start the at-bat.
Yeah, you mentioned good defense. Both these teams coming into this game with a .975 fielding percentage, good enough for second in the CCBL, with the Mariners committing just one less error, 27-26.
So with an 0-1 count, Jack Thomas Wald will dig in, and an off-speed pitch from Nick Stewart will miss high and away. Let's really quickly update you again here on Nick Stewart and what he's got to work with off of his tool belt. Stewart this year working with a fastball, circle change, and a slider. Fastball is going to come in at about 95 miles an hour, and see what he comes with here on the 1-1 pitch. Something high and off speed. That'll miss, but it's fouled away, so the count goes 1-2. Stewart, of course, got the 3rd start of the season for the Harwich Mariners. Since then, he's been brought out exclusively out of the bullpen, and in 5 appearances, he's pitched 14 2/3, has 2 saves on the year and a 6.75 ERA. Looks like Will Heflin is warming up in the bullpen for the Harwich Mariners. Wonder whether we'll see him come in and maybe take over the 8th and the 9th this year, or today. He's pitched exceptionally well against the YD Red Sox this season. Stewart will look Riley King back to first. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That one swung on and topped into left field. Galland once again charging over into the bullpen. He dives and he can't come up with it, and boy, Chris Galland, another excellent effort, but he's got to be careful running all over the place out there in left. A couple of times he's already come close to hitting the fence, and that's the last thing Harwich needs, is to lose one of their hottest bats to an injury.
Yep, Crazy Chris strikes again as he comes flying in, running. He probably covered a good 75 to 80 feet trying to flag that ball down. Lays out. The ball kind of handcuffed him a little bit, and he did get there in time, but it's so hard to slow your body down and get yourself in position to make that play.
So once again, it's a 1-2 count to Jack Thomas Wald. Stewart from the stretch. Here comes the pitch. That one's going to be taken to third base. It'll be picked up. The throw to Acton for one is in time. Back the other way. Not going to be in time, and that's also going to get past the outstretched arm of Chris Lanzilli. But Jack Thomas Wald, both not looking back and also probably not quick enough to beat the throw out to second, will hold up at first.
Yep, definitely smart to get the lead runner King over at second, and would have been a tough turn. Ball wasn't hit too hard at Cavadas, but he makes a smart play over to Acton at second. Looked like Wald had beaten it regardless had that ball been caught. So with one away, Mariners will look again to try to get a double play ball. They've already turned two tonight, almost just turned to third.
So here comes another fresh face to the YD lineup. It's Carson Taylor. So far today, he's 0 for 2. He did reach on a walk back in the 6th inning, and with a fresh count, the first pitch to him will be in there for strike one, a fastball on the outer half.
Mariners 5-5 in their last 10 games, so kind of treading water, but for now it's got them a game and a half up on Brewster. Of course, Brewster one more game to play than the M's.
The 0-1 from Stewart, that's going to be fouled back. Yeah, that's the one thing that could also come into play as the season goes on. And actually, really quickly, I wanted to bring this up. The Brewster Whitecaps' final game of the season will not be with the Harwich Mariners, as they will actually be playing a game on August 1st. It'll be a makeup game. So Harwich may be holding its breath depending on what happens with the Brewster Whitecaps at the end of the season, because they could very well be in a position where their season is done, but Brewster still has one game left to play, and that could affect how the playoffs shake out.
Yep, especially if, Harwich has a half-game lead over them. A win for Brewster would tie things up.
The 0-2, a circle change that's popped a mile high, and this one will stay on the infield. Actually, just out to the outfield grass is Hal Hughes, who will glove it for the second out of the inning. And Colin, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, I was going to look at the rule here in a bit, but do you know what the tiebreaker is if the teams are tied in points?
It's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that has to do with run differential, whether it be runs for, runs allowed, or whatever. Of course, if it's runs allowed, then the Mariners win that tiebreaker by a landslide, considering how few runs Harwich has given up this season. But again, I guess it kind of varies league by league, and it doesn't look like there'd be a tiebreaker played in any way, shape, or form.
I think it is run differential. I'll get a confirmation on this here in a minute, but if it is run differential, that's something Harwich has a big lead on the Brewster Whitecaps in right now, and with 12 games left to play, that likely will not change all that much. The Brewster Whitecaps somehow have a record that they do just under 500, despite having a large run deficit this season, as fouling it away as a pinch hitter coming into the game here. It will not be Ron Washington.
Not surprised to see a pinch hitter with the way that Coach Pickler likes to use them.
It's going to be Tate Samuelson, who is listed on the roster as 35, but here he's wearing 34.
Riley Terada's old number.
Yep, so Terada's number now falls to Samuelson, who digs in here with a 1-1 count. He will stand in once again with a runner on first and his team trailing by 5. But yeah, the classic Scott Pickler wholesale substitutions starting to come in here, and they've been one of the weirdest things in the league, but for whatever reason, they seem to work more often than they don't. As he'll take a ball. I remember hearing a story from the Orleans guys the other day that, of course, the one that made sense, they were able to bring in today's starting pitcher Eric Tolman, who came in and got an RBI single. But there was a game earlier this year where I was told, and again, don't have 100% confirmation on this, but from the Orleans guys, they brought in a guy who was hitting a .152, a temp guy. And not only that, but it went from being a righty-on-lefty matchup to being a righty-on-righty matchup. The guy had not been able to hit righties all season long, but Pickler brings him in, and he actually drives in a run to go ahead and beat Orleans this season. So, go figure. I mean, Scott Pickler apparently knows something the rest of us don't with these subs. But here it'll be Tate Samuelson with a 3-1 count, just trying to work his way on base, and he'll be working with a full count here, as just painting the outside edge on that one is Nick Stewart.
And it'll be interesting to see what the move is after the inning with Samuelson, a natural first baseman. I don't know if he'll stay in the game. They might have to make a defensive switch with Samuelson pinch hitting for a left fielder.
Stewart comes to the belt. 3-2 pitch is on its way, and that one's going to miss low, so the runner taking off with a good lead. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's going to be runners at first and second here for the top of the order, and another Scott Pickler sub works for the YD Red Sox here.
Obviously no substitution for this guy coming to the plate, and Wyatt Young, who's 2 for 4. Did ground into a double play, though, in his last at-bat. Two-way, doesn't have to worry about that, and Young The base hit is an opportunity to cut into this lead and add to his RBI total on the night.
And really quickly, it was actually Wyatt Young that they subbed out for. Granted, this was earlier in the season, but Wyatt Young, despite hitting as well as he had, Pickler pulled him for some reason, and again, it kind of worked out. But here, obviously, this late into the season, knowing what he can do, leaving him in there with 2 outs, he'll try to get something started here for a YD team that trails by 5 here in the 8th inning. With 2 away in the inning, the YD Red Sox are down to their final 4 outs. And again, the top 2 teams in the East trying to avoid losing in the same day. Young stands in, runners at first and second. Here comes the pitch, and that's going to be something off speed that misses upstairs for ball 1.
3 runs on 11 hits for YD, and right now they're probably looking back and thinking about all the missed opportunities they had in the early innings against Antonio Menendez, as Menendez finishes giving up just 2 runs total, 1 earned in 4 2/3. Not in line for the win, but again, a steady outing from Menendez. Definitely not his best outing of the year, but better than what we saw from him early in the season, his first couple appearances.
And let's really quickly update you on those opportunities that YD had as Coach Berger comes out to have a word with Nick Stewart. They had the bases loaded in the first inning with 2 outs, or with 1 out, and Jake Palmer grounds into a 6-4-3 double play. Then in the 3rd inning, they had the runners at the corners with 1 out. Pop out to left field kept Thomas Wald close, and then they got the bases loaded in the same inning with 2 outs. Couldn't get anybody across to score. Back in the 4th inning, it was a leadoff double for Jack Thomas Wald, but despite moving him up to 3rd base with just 1 away, they were unable to bring him home. And then in the 5th and 7th innings, solo shots were the only 2 runs of the day at that point for the YD Red Sox, despite a big-time 3rd inning where they did leave all those runners, but they did get Ron Washington home.
Got an interesting development also out in the bullpen. Connor Seckler, a normal starter, has begun to throw in the Mariners bullpen.
The 1-0 pitch, that's going to be taken out into left field in a diving effort, and he couldn't come up with it, so 1 run's going to come across to score. They will hold everybody else up, and it's going to go down as a double here for Wyatt Young. What an effort in center field by Dylan Noisy, and he looks to be a bit shaken up out there, but walking it off. I thought for a second he might have had it, but the ball just kind of sputtered away.
Yeah, the ball was tailing away from the start off the bat. It was a slicing ball hit by Wyatt Young, and Noisy got himself a pretty good jump on it, but he got there in time. The ball just popped out of his glove, so Wyatt Young picks up his 2nd RBI, and quietly the tying run moves into the on-deck circle, and it is Austin Wells in the on-deck circle, so if Beasley can keep the inning alive, things might get a little interesting here at White House Field.
Tate Samuelson will move up to 3rd base. Wyatt Young standing on 2nd, and as you mentioned, a run comes across, so it's going to be an 8-4 game here. Still a 4-run lead for the Mariners, but Austin Wells is the tying run. He stands on deck. Brad Beasley, who has a solo shot of his own, comes up here. Still 2 outs in the inning. Harwich looking to just get 1 more, and first pitch is going to be in there for a strike. The interesting thing to me about Connor Seckler warming up out there, I thought he was going to be tabbed to be tomorrow's starter in a game against the Chatham Anglers, but you know, you really kind of have to be careful with who you pitch at this point when you're Harwich. You've got 4 guys that are going to be in the All-Star game. So the 1-1 count is going to be made here, and that was why I was curious about Will Heflin warming up, because he's going to be pitching Sunday likely in the All-Star game for the Cape League, as will Jacob Polish, Joe Boyle, and a couple of other guys. So the 1-1 swung on and missed here. Seckler, not a guy who was tabbed to go to the All-Star game. Connor McCullough is the other pitcher that was momentarily slipping my mind. So an already short Harwich bullpen is made even shorter here, and we'll see whether or not the services are needed here from the typical starter. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3, and finally the inning is over. Harwich gets out of some big-time trouble, and once again YD strands runners in scoring position, but they still trail it by 4, an 8-4 game, despite them scoring 1 run. Harwich will look to add a few more insurance runs when we come back in the 8th here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey, and it'll be Michael Weisberg taking over for Chase Walter, who once again comes into a game and once again lets every single person that he gets on base come across the score. So his ERA just continues to skyrocket, but it'll be Weisberg taking over, and he's put together a much better campaign here in the 2019 season, but not by a lot, Colin.
Now, it certainly hasn't been the ideal stretch, and that just goes across the entire pitching staff. As we mentioned, that their team ERA overall is 4.71, and especially in July, they've struggled, and this is a big reason why they are trailing in this game, despite their offense putting together 4 runs on 12 hits. Pitching staff just unable to keep things going strong. It's really been everyone outside of, and actually, you know what? I think the big thing is the loss of, actually, I'm tripping over my words here, but Jack Leftwich has kind of been the only bright spot they've had in pitching, and I say bright spot loosely because he's got a 4.63 ERA, so even some of their best pitchers, talent-wise, haven't really had the summers they were hoping for.
So we'll see what Harwich can do here, facing off against yet another pitcher with an ERA well into the, close to the 15s, 14.14 this year through 7 innings, and a little bit more of an issue with control for Weisberg this year, as he's walked 5 guys compared to just 6 strikeouts on the season. He's given up 11 earned runs, 12 runs total. But it'll be the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for Harwich coming up. Pat Winkle, Hal Hughes, and Daniel Cabrera are all due up. Harwich looking for a few insurance runs here after their lead was cut to 4, and the first pitch from Weisberg has a lot of movement to it, but that's going to miss the zone for ball 1.
Interesting to see who does come out for that 9th inning. If Seckler's going to pitch it, Stewart's gone 3 1/3 so far.
Again, Joe Boyle's services may also not be employable today, as this one's going to be taken off the glove of the first baseman Wall. That's going to be a hit to the right side here for the aforementioned catcher, Pat Winkle, his first hit of the day. And that'll bring up Hal Hughes, who is 2 for 3 today with a couple of singles and a run scored.
Yep, Winkle was the only one in the entire lineup who hadn't reached base prior to that at-bat. And he was able to rip one on the right side, and this time he's finally rewarded. Last time, it was actually Tate Samuelson, the first baseman, in the last game. The bases loaded and 2 away. Winkle ripped the ball right to him, and that was a crucial insurance run there, but now Winkle leading things off with a big-time base hit.
So here's how Hughes has been feeling himself the last couple of at-bats, and he'll watch the first pitch miss inside for ball 1. It's a 1-0 count. A lot of other action going on right now in the Cape Cod Baseball League. The Wareham Gatemen are up 3-0 right now in the Falmouth Commodores. Firebirds are also up 3-0 over the Bourne Braves. Here it's 8-4 Harwich going into the 8th inning, and this one's going to be smacked into right center field. Tailing over, coming in and diving to make the catch is Brad Beasley in center field. That's the second really good defensive play we've seen him make, and he takes away another hit here from Hal Hughes.
Yeah, it was a nice catch, but he really got a terrible read off of that fly ball. He was kind of moving towards his right at first, and all of a sudden the ball's going to his left. But a good recovery by Beasley. He makes a big catch. If he doesn't make that play, although Winkle froze on that fly ball, he might have been able to get to third if the ball got by him. So a big catch, and now we head back to the top of the order.
He took one of those, I know you love your MLB references, one of those Nori Aoki routes out there in center field. So here comes the first pitch. It'll be a bunt laid down by Daniel Cabrera. That'll move the runner up, throw to first, and that is going to be just narrowly in time. So Cabrera moves the runner up with 2 outs, and that'll bring Chris Gallen to the plate.
I like the move by Coach Engler playing small ball, despite the bat of Cabrera at the plate. You drop one down the third baseline and move up the base runner in Pat Winkle. And now all of a sudden with a hot hitter in Chris Gallen at the plate, who's 2 for 4. Another base hit could add a huge insurance run going into the 9th.
Gallen has already reached on a single today, and then another one back in the 7th inning. So he's looking to maybe improve on what's already been a pretty good day for him in there in the batter's box. The runner in scoring position could make it a 5-run lead once again for Harwich. They finally put this one pretty close to out of reach for YD, although with an offense like the Red Sox's, you get the feeling they can come back from just about anything if they get the right part of the order up. And it will be 3, 4, and 5 due up on the other side of the break. Austin Wells, Noah Campbell, and Jake Palmer pending substitutions.
Pat Winkle, the runner at second base, one of just 2 guys in the Mariners lineup not to score in this one, the other being Chris Lanzilli.
Another just crazy offensive outburst. And Colin, this actually makes back-to-back games for Harwich, because the last game they played was against Brewster, as this one goes down in the dirt and it's blocked by Austin Wells. Yesterday, everybody showed up to the ballpark, but no game was played due to rain.
Yep, just been a really strong couple of days for the Mariners. Then to go along with a pretty good 4-run outing against Hyannis. Not the best game, of course, offensively, but been a nice little streak for the Mariners bats.
And well, hopefully they can find a way to continue it, as they have the most brutal stretch of their season coming up. The 1-1 pitch is on its way. That's a big-time hook, and that one is going to get in there for a strike on Chris Gallant, who falls behind in the count 1-2.
As more and more interleague games, or not interleague, I'm sorry, interdivision games coming up, especially for the Mariners team that's got all but one game coming in the division left this season. Every point is really going to matter down the stretch.
Gallant stands in, the 1-2. Swings and tips that one foul, and I don't know if he had missed that ball entirely. It might have still gotten past the outstretched arm of Austin Wells. He might have found his way onto first base regardless, but the count stays 1-2. Michael Weisberg looking to put together a clean frame here after giving up a leadoff single to Pat Winkle. Chris Gallant has had almost more RBIs than anybody else on this Harwich roster over the last 5 days. Here comes the 1-2, and he'll rip this one into right center. It's got a chance to get down to the gap, and it will. That's going to score a run. It's another RBI for Chris Gallant, who will hold up with at second with a stand-up RBI double.
And Chris Gallant, it seems like, just continues to get better and better and better after every game that he plays. And that's now, as I frantically flip through my my scorebook, I believe that's 3 games in 4 games. Let me keep going, see how long it goes back. But it's been 5 games. I think it's 5 games in a row for Chris Gallant in which he's got an RBI in. Yes, 5 games in a row.
Here comes Scott Pickler to have a word with his pitcher. We'll see whether this is the end of Michael Weisberg's day, and it will be. But what a streak for Chris Gallant, as you mentioned. He has just been tearing the cover off the ball. And keep in mind, this is a guy that 5 games into the season, among guys with enough at-bats to qualify, he led the entire CCBL in batting average, and then he kind of fell off hard. There was a long stretch where he really struggled, but boy, recently he has really turned it on. We will take a break, and when we come back, we'll have an update on the new pitcher into the game right after this here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Another new pitcher coming into the game here for the YD Red Sox. Tyler Henry and Colin Casey bringing you the game, and it'll be Gordon, we think, Ingebrigtsen, but he'll come in out of UC Irvine, and this will be his 5th game. He has a 7.2 ERA, so really just kind of throwing the guys at the back end of the bullpen at Harwich today. And he'll be tasked with trying to get one more out here in the 8th and stopping the bleeding here for the Mariners. It was a RBI double for Chris Gallant, who stands in scoring position here for the new hitter in the game for Harwich. It is Corey Acton, who did replace Christian Fedko, both in the field and now in the lineup, and he'll take strike 1.
Last time Acton appeared was back on July 17th in that 12-11 game against Brewster, and had a 2-run double in the 3rd inning of that affair.
It was a very good day for Corey Acton, who had broken out of a really, really tough slump, and here we see the submarine action of Ingebrigtsen. Davidson working out of the stretch with a runner on second. Chris Gallant, a lot of speed. You get the feeling anything gets past Austin Wells, he's going to take another bag here as the lights come on at White House Field. Once again, foul away. Corey Acton keeps the count 0-2.
Acton out of the University of Florida is, after homering in that second game, we thought, that he was going to really provide something offensively, and then went into a bit of a cold streak, but as of late, he's starting to fight his way out of it. It's something we've seen out of a lot of guys up and down this Mariners lineup.
So we'll see whether he can keep it up here. He's fallen behind 0-2 with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. Here comes the pitch. Runner takes off, it's low and away, and well, they may call that indifference, but it's going to be another stolen base here for Chris Gallant, who is now just 90 feet away from adding another run to the Harwich lead.
I mean, Riley King did make a break towards third to kind of cover the bag, so I think they might give him the steal for that one.
So another stolen base for the leader for Harwich, and he now stands just 90 feet away from patting on another run. Harwich up 9-4 here in the 8th. Bottom half of it, they've already scored 1 run. Here comes the pitch to Acton, and he will swing and miss at that for strike 3. Down on strikes is Corey Acton, and that will be the end of the inning. When we come back, Harwich looks to put the cap on it here in the 9th on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, Harwich looking to put the cap on this one. And here comes beloved closer Connor Seckler. Just kidding, he's typically a starting pitcher for Harwich, and this will be his first and only appearance of the season out of the bullpen. So Colin, with the All-Star break coming up and him not planning on pitching tomorrow, Connor Seckler is going to have a chance to come in and record a save.
It certainly makes things interesting in terms of who's going to be the starter tomorrow. I mean, it really could be anybody's guess, and we'll have to see exactly how things shake up in that department. We know Nick Swalk probably not going to be the one, as he just started a couple of days ago. We can rule him out. So there's a lot of fresh starting pitchers out there, Seckler being one of them, and who knows? We have seen instances where a guy has thrown an inning and ended up pitching the next day as a starter. I believe it was Matt Mervis who might have thrown an inning and then started. So, someone on Katuitt, I remember, did it. It might have been Jackson Wolf, I think, last time that the Mariners, in that game that didn't count, Jackson Wolf ended up making the start, and I think he pitched an inning just a couple of days before. So really we could expect anything, but all we know right now is Seckler's coming in to try to record 3 outs with a 5-run lead.
So let's get you up to date on Connor Seckler and what he's been able to accomplish this season. Kind of took over as the team's #1 starter after the departure of Logan Allen. First pitch from him from the windup is going to miss low and inside, and a fastball, slider, change up, and he's working on a cutter right now. He has come into 4 starts this year. He's pitched 19 innings, 2-2 record for him, a 3.32 ERA, 20 strikeouts to 7 walks, and this pitch is going to be just hammered out to left or out to deep right field, but foul. So the count stays 1-1. And Colin, if I had to venture to guess, I'd say probably Carson Seymour tomorrow, given who has pitched and who has not in quite some time. It certainly won't be Jacob Polish, as he is going to be in the All-Star game.
That one makes a lot of sense. I actually completely forgot about Seymour. I think he's due for a start, so wouldn't be surprised if it's him.
1-1 pitch is going to miss inside, and the count will be 2-1 here on Austin Wells. And you get the feeling probably won't see a whole ton of substitutions here for Austin Wells, Noah Campbell, maybe for Jake Palmer, who has yet to record a hit today, as the 2-1 is fouled away, and the count is even here at 2-2.
Yeah, looking back, Seymour's last start actually came 12 days ago, so it would be 13 after tomorrow. That one coming against Falmouth Commodore, so it has been quite some time for Carson Seymour.
Pitch is going to be zipped. I was about to say, I think he started last
that's
week,
right.
but
you see how that 6-inning game against Bourne, or not 6 innings, 6-inning start out of Bourne. He ended up getting the loss, but he pitched pretty well.
Payoffs is going to be drilled to deep center field, but Whitehouse may save it, and it will, as tailing back to make the catch is Dylan Noisy for out number 1.
Yep, Austin Wells continues to show off his power this summer, but just a little bit short on that one. He killed it out towards the deepest part of the ballpark, but good range from Noisy, gets all the way back. Stumbled a little bit as he got on that warning track, but he was able to make the play, so it's one batter and one away for Connor Seckler's debut out of the bullpen.
It's kind of like the Coors effect for the Cape Cod Baseball League, just not quite with the atmosphere and whatnot, but the idea that the park changes the stats. This is going to be in there for strike 1 to Noah Campbell, but I mean, there are fields like Citi Field and Kauffman Stadium that just kind of keep the ball in better. Very, very large dimensions here. 330 to both poles and left and right, and then 400 to straightaway center.
Guy at the plate, Noah Campbell, the only player from either team to reach base in all 4 of his plate appearances.
Yep, and he's gotten 3 hits. He reached on an error as well. He'll foul this away and fall behind in the count 1 and 2, but very, very close between an error and a hit back in the 7th inning. That one was smoked down the third baseline. Cavadas couldn't quite get his glove on it, and it was ruled a hit. So a 1-2 count here. Very slow wind up here from Connor Seckler, and the pitch is going to miss low, and that's the other interesting thing. Seckler does pitch very similar to what we see out of relievers. He works very quickly.
Yeah, it's funny, though, because he actually works from the windup. Most relievers you see kind of work from the stretch. It does vary from pitcher to pitcher.
2-2, swung and a miss, strike 3, and that's going to retire Noah Campbell. And really, I think the most interesting thing to me about Connor Seckler coming into this game is the fact that his last start didn't even count. The last time he came in and pitched in a ball game, it was that game against Katuitt where he had 3 scoreless innings going. Harwich had a 12-0 lead, but that was completely washed out by the rain. So to find his last official start, you have to go really far back into the scorebook to find the last time that he came in, but he comes in here as a reliever. So I guess my point in all of that is that he's really fresh, having only pitched 3 innings about a week ago, and aside from that, not coming into a game at all for Harwich. Here he's looking for one more out to complete this game, and the first pitch is going to be low and outside to a pinch hitter into the game.
It's going to be Andrew Eister, who was a starter in the last couple of games between these 2 teams, but the righty on the mound, Coach Pickler has him coming off the bench.
So Eister digs in from the left side. He'll watch this pitch, a fastball at the knees that will miss for ball 2. Big number 11 standing in here for the YD Red Sox, represents the last hope for YD in this game. From the windup, the 2-0 from Seckler. That's going to be swung on and foul away here, so the count goes to 2-1. Seckler just 2 strikes out from finding a way to get this one closed up.
And if the Mariners are able to hang on here, it'd be the closest to 500 that they've been since July 10th, that game against Orleans. Coming into that one, they were 12-13. So looking to kind of climb back above that mark. They were only over it for a brief period of time earlier in the season.
Here comes the 2-1, swung on and missed, and Eister's fallen behind here, so we'll see whether or not Connor Seckler digs in and finds a good strikeout pitch here. After going down 1-0, Harwich bounced back. They got a 1-run lead twice. Twice YD came back and tied it. They dumped on 5 runs in the 7th and 1 in the 8th to take a 9-4 lead. Here comes the pitch, and that's going to be chopped foul down the third base line. Living to fight another pitch here is Andrew Eister.
Nick Stewart would get the win, and Carlos Lamelli would be charged with the loss if the score does hold.
So the 2-2 count. Seckler will dig back in from the pitcher's mound. Eister digs in the batter's box. From the windup, the 2-2. And that'll be fouled off again. Really quickly, a couple of score updates to leave you with. The Orleans Firebirds have a 2-run home run. They are now up 5-0 on the Bourne Braves. In Game 2 of the doubleheader, Falmouth is struck for a run. The Wareham Gatemen lead the Falmouth Commodores 3-1. Orleans Firebirds on top of the Bourne Braves 5-0. And The Hyannis Harbor Hawks trail the Katuitt Cavaliers 10-3. Seckler's 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And they won't even have to appeal. That is going to do it. It's going to be 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 inning from Connor Seckler, and Harwich comes away victorious by a final score of 9-4. We will step away. When we come back, we'll put the cap on it after this here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back one last time here to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we put the cap on this one. Harwich gets the big-time victory by a final score of 9-4. And Colin, it really seemed like a game where Whitey had plenty of opportunities. At the end of the day, they out-hit the Mariners 12-11, but they leave 10 runners on base, including 7 in scoring position, come up on the short end of the stick here tonight.
Yeah, they really don't have anyone to blame but themselves after getting themselves in such great positions. You know, 3 hits in the first inning, and that double play to get out of it first. Then just in the third inning, another opportunity. They did get a run in, but you had the bases loaded, and you weren't able to bring in another one after Riley King popped out. So opportunities for YD, they weren't able to capitalize, and the comeback wasn't good enough this time, as we've seen them come back we saw them come back a couple of times to even things up on a couple of solo home runs, but that 5-run seventh, the difference maker for Harwich, and finally the Mariners able to get past YD after having that tough loss a few days ago at Red Wilson Field, and now the Mariners, with a win tomorrow, can find themselves at 17-17 at 500 for the first time in quite some time.
So at the end of the day, Harwich gets the win 9-4. They do 9 runs, or they have 9 runs on 11 hits, 2 errors, and 6 runners left on base. For YD, 4 runs on 12 hits, no errors, and 10 runners left on base. The win goes today to Nick Stewart, who advances to 2-1 on the season. The loss goes to Carlos Lamelli, and another day where the bottom of the East performs better than the top, as the Brewster Whitecaps and Harwich Mariners both get a win. The Orleans Firebirds are currently leading the Bourne Braves by a score of 5-0, and the Whitey Red Sox and Chatham Anglers lose twice. Tomorrow, Harwich will visit the Chatham A's, who are coming off of the loss today. That will be at Veterans Field. First pitch is set for later tomorrow, and then the YD Red Sox will be at home against the Brewster Whitecaps. So the top and the bottom will meet again, just flipping up the matchups. Well, for Tyler Henry, for Colin Casey, and our producer Matt Lucy, everybody else, I'd like to say thank you once again for tuning in. Harwich gets the win 9-4, and you caught it right here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.